Oh, hey there. This is Michael T. Coleman, the voice of Cody Travers in Street Fighter V.
Desk work just ain't my thing. But you know what is? The Kasanova podcast. #1 in Hawaii. Bingo!
All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, and I'm coming at you today with another phenomenal interview. And in today's episode, I have the honor and privilege of once again interviewing my good friend, Daniel Lindholm. And you should know Daniel Lindholm as the composer of the majority of Street Fighter V's OST, or original soundtrack. He's composed the themes of Lucia, Edmund Honda, Zeku, Ed, G, Sakura, and the one and only Mayor Cody Travers. Now in this episode, we're going to talk about the work he's done with Lucia's theme, Edmund Honda's theme. We're going to talk more about the one and only Mayor Cody Travers, and so much more. So if you're ready to do it, I'm ready to do it. Let's go ahead and get into this episode. All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, and I'm coming at you with another phenomenal interview because today I have the honor of having again my friend on the show. It's been a year since the last time we did this. None other than Daniel Lindholm, who is the composer of Street Fighter V Season 2, 3, and 4 characters. Many of the soundtracks that you're hearing in the arcade mode as well, and just so many other things like there's so many games in the works that you're working on. We're going to talk about it. Introduce yourself.
Hi.
Hi.
I was having some fun there. All right. So yeah, it's been exactly 1 year. And I've been working in Japan for, as a quick recap, for about 10 years in the AAA gaming industry. Writing music for mostly AAA companies like SEGA, BANDAI NAMCO, CAPCOM, and Konami. A little bit of Sami, SNK stuff as well, but mostly the majority of my work has been involved with CAPCOM titles like Resident Evil 6, and just 4 years later, I got a surprise call and saying, "Hey, would you like to write music with Street Fighter?" And I was like, okay, sure. And I came in at the second season, starting off with Ed the Boxer. And then we were moving on with Minat, and I believe Seku was the end of that second season.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, that's it. I've done my work. And then they kept calling me back for season 3. And then it was time for Sakura. And of course, the biggest guy of them all, Cody, and rounding off with G. And I was like, oh, this is so crazy. And right before the end of the year, I get 2 new characters thrown at me for season 4, which we're probably going to be talking about here right now, which is, of course, the return of the Fantastic 8, Edmund Honda, and the final fight comeback character of Lucia Morgan, Puerto Rican, New York, and chick. Yeah. Yeah. Algarete. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So,
She was
that's a quick intro.
She was such a surprise character. Like that seemed like, and I've noticed that since Street Fighter 4, they've been incorporating more and more, Final Fight characters, but Street Fighter 5, they're like, you know what? No, screw it. Here's Final Fight. And I mean, I may know some things, you may know some things as well. We can't talk about it, but signs are kind of there that there's possibility of a new Final Fight. Possibility.
Yeah, I mean, it seems it's ripe for doing a remake now. I mean, look at Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
They're coming out, but I actually talked to a guy who is involved with all of these. He has connections to all these people who are doing the remakes, or he's like in the beat 'em up. He tried to sell beat 'em ups. He's a
Mm.
concept artist around there, and he said, or actually, when I looked at Street of Rage 4, actually, I would like to ask you first, what was your reaction to the gameplay you have seen so far?
Well, okay. When I first saw the graphic style of it, like when they were showing the art, I was like, okay, I guess I can get behind it. And then when I actually saw it in motion, I was like, eh. It was not what I was thinking. Streets of Rage would look like in a fourth iteration. I would think they would
Right.
go with a more gritty, realistic look. I mean, not against it, but it's like, okay.
Yeah, I agree completely because I felt like, you just went PG-13, huh?
Yeah, just like
Basically.
Battletoads.
And a Saturday morning cartoon style.
Yep.
I mean, it was interesting, but it was like so many things I feel is missing to make it truly a Streets of Rage game.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, yeah. And the fun thing is my friend was involved with looking into development of these guys.
Hmm.
And he actually said they had a grittier outlook on the game in the beginning,
Hmm.
uh, but they decided yes to go completely clean. So it looks more like a Flash game now,
It
rather
does.
than
It really does.
than keeping to the tradition of the animation, and it feels kind of slow too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's another game out there as well. That's I forgot the name of it, but that actually looked pretty cool, and I think Yuzo Koshiro is involved with that soundtrack.
Oh,
Um,
the takeover.
yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And something like that, I think, would be perfect. So I guess that would be the real Streets of Rage follow-up
Yeah.
uh, compared to the Saturday morning cartoon style.
Oh
Reeks of rage. You know?
God. What did you think of so what are your thoughts on like what Battletoads the reveal looked like? I was so annoyed with how it looked. I don't like this art style. It's uninspired.
Yeah. I mean, they're suffering from the same thing. I mean, it's like look at all the things that happened in the E3 and all the games or renewals or what do you call it, and then you come to like Commander Keen.
Yeah.
It's nowhere as it is supposed to be played anymore.
Yeah.
So the licensing, I mean, they hired some great animators, but it just looks too clean, not too extreme. It's like everything had been dumbed down
Yeah.
for a new generation who is not familiar with the characters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they could do it with the Super Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that would be awesome because
Yeah.
that really fits the style. But right now, yeah, I know the deformation of the big ass hands and feet which are still in there. I mean, that's the only thing that kind of works
Yeah.
on that style. But as you said, it's kind of uninspired. Like, are we going to get the same levels now again? Will we have a crossover with the Double Dragon Brothers again? I mean, yeah, you remember that game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually pretty cool because I guess it was Rare Software who did that
Yeah. Yeah.
version on Nintendo, yeah, before Killer Instinct and all the other stuff. So, yeah.
I mean, and speaking of Killer Instinct, with how they had Rash and Killer Instinct the remake or the well, I think
Really?
it's
Then I
a
missed
sequel.
something.
I think it's a sequel. Yeah, and then the Xbox version of Killer Instinct. Yeah, he's a DLC character you can buy, and I was really taken back with how awesome he looks in a realistic setting. And I was thinking, okay, when they announced Battletoads, I was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna get something that's a gritty, realistic kind of sort of style. And then when I saw that, and I'm like, yo, that was the biggest, honestly, for me, that was the biggest letdown of E3. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it looks good. Or I think a lot of my friends, when we were at E3, they actually got to play and they said, oh, it plays fun. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it just doesn't look visually appealing. It's
Yeah, I think this E3 has probably been one of the worst ones I've ever seen because so little gameplay, so many visualized, pre-made videos. It's like doesn't explain anything about the
Anything.
game or gameplay. So um, I wonder what's left. We have Tokyo Game Show next week. No, next month,
Yeah.
and I hope to go on the business days and see if there's any new things coming out. And maybe there will be some more reveals from, of course, Sony did not have their press conference at all this time at E3.
Don't you feel like that was
Um,
kind of telling too?
I think they're like, well, we have the PlayStation 5 ready to go. We are waiting for the right moment, not waste on any space on E3. We are holding on. And yeah, I mean, that's going to be very interesting because when we talk about games and seasons now instead of updates, and to me, when I heard, oh, there's going to be one more season more of Street Fighter 5,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, so they need to hold out until at least all the way through 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe in winter they will release a new machine. Um, that that's probably what they're waiting to do.
Yeah.
Probably just going to show concepts, but anything else besides that, I don't know what I'm going to be expecting at Tokyo Game Show this year.
Yeah. Like I know definitely like with the next season of Street Fighter, well not next season, but the next iteration of Street Fighter 5, I know they're fundamentally changing it from the ground up. Like they're gonna use motion capture for a lot of the moves. So I'm like, how is a Dragon Punch or a Tatsumaki gonna look with, an actual motion capture artist? I thought a lot of 5 was actually using motion capture, but apparently that was all hand drawn.
It was all handmade. Yeah, I was so blown away when I heard from the developers that
Yeah.
yeah, these are not motion captured. I was like, how's that even possible? The way they plant their feet, the way they're
Yep.
moving up and down. I mean, that's like incredible. I mean, there are different animation houses dealing with a lot of different characters. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a animation house in Malaysia or Singapore who were responsible for Minat. Her animation is
Mm-hmm.
so crisp.
Yeah.
And I think it was the same animation house that also did Cody. But when you look at a character like Falke or Falk,
Yeah.
her look, she looks very stiff
Yeah.
to the way she moves, the way she gets down on the ground. It's like only 3 frames or something. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks really weird. So I think if they get the motion capture technology for, maybe it's not going to be 5, maybe they jump straight to 6 or Street Fighter 5 remix or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and hot up all the animation. I mean, a Tatsumaki, what do you really need? You need a guy jumping onto a trampoline and a
Yep.
taekwondo kick and
Yep.
capture that. I think you can get away with that. At least that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, when you say, oh, they're going to motion capture next game, I'm actually now getting really excited because that's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Especially if they record the voices. And I mean, if it's mostly Japanese actors do the moves, motion captures your face and the way they say it, and
Mm-hmm.
to have the characters really express themselves in the face saying the commands, that would be really cool, actually.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
So,
And then
okay.
you guys replace the head rig with the American voice actor doing the same thing, and
Right.
you have 2 versions of it. Yeah.
Oh,
Technology is fantastic these days.
it is. It's amazing how like within a short of a time span of 2 years, 3 years, like the technological leaps are just astronomical. It's like, oh,
And the greatest one of them all is deep fakes, man.
do you know how that works? Like I'm trying to figure out how that works.
Yeah, it's really simple, actually. So they actually take a lot of source material, pictures from any concernable angle about 180 degrees. So they cover from the left side to the right side of the face,
Mm-hmm.
many different brightness settings and lighting, and then the computer will figure out the best contrast and matching that with the scene. And I mean, this crazy guy who replaced Christian Bale, my favorite actor, with Tom Cruise in American Psycho, and it was just freaking amazing. Let's put on some Rammstein. I was like, okay. I mean, now you can start to look where that technology can go, because you look at a movie like The Matrix, and
Mm-hmm.
there were like 5 actors before they landed on Keanu Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first one they pulled was Will Smith, and then it was Tom Cruise, and then was I think it was what's his name? But he would be too old. But the guy from Point Break. Uh,
I know who you're talking about too.
Yeah, the mullet guy. Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Swayze. And then there were 2 more actors, but on the 5th turn they landed on Keanu Reeves. But to think that they had Tom Cruise or Will Smith in mind, and just to replace them like that and see the movie how it was intended, that would be kind of funny to see, And and now we can use that kind of. I mean, the guy, what was it? They, I think it all started with a Star Wars Rogue One movie,
Mm-hmm.
Especially the end with the Princess Leia character, and you
Oh,
saw
yeah.
and it just didn't look good. But the guy with the deep fakes did that in 20 hours, and it looked better. And it was just amazing to see. That's like, why wasn't that in the movie? It's incredible algorithm. But now you start to see the problem with deep fakes is, of course, is you can make people say things that are not intended. So it's a little bit worrisome
Yeah.
in that regard. But as a filmmaking tool, oh man, it's awesome. Yeah.
Man. I'm definitely
So,
gonna.
I mean, to take anything that's from a stamped linear media and change that,
Mm-hmm.
and just have wireframe models and motion capture, that's like a walk in the park, if we translate that facial capture technology for computer games. So I don't think that's going to be any problem.
Definitely.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like I'm really, I want to deep dive into learning more about it, because it's such. I mean, it's, like you said, it's a bit worrisome in the sense of how people could use it for nefarious means, but at the same time, it's like, wow, we have technology like that. I mean, the fact that we could recreate things from history to give people who, because there are a lot of people that are more visual than they are for reading certain things, and if you could use a deep fake and a picture or video of someone from the past, and you want to put it in perspective of anything, it's something that it's an amazing yet terrifying tool at the same time. So
Yeah, I mean, it would be fantastic if you can bring back an old actor to life again, like Bruce Lee. I mean, now we have the Quentin Tarantino movie out there, but I'm actually boycotting it because I just don't feel it's right. Just because of the Bruce Lee scene makes him look like a complete toff,
Dude, everyone's talking about that too. I saw Joe Rogan. He talked about it. He didn't like it at all.
Yeah. So out of respect, and of course I like Bruce Lee and Shannon and all the family members there, and you should not disrespect that legacy. I mean, without Bruce Lee, there wouldn't be any UFC. Without Bruce Lee, there wouldn't be any kind of real martial arts. And without him, I wouldn't have my philosophy of how I deal working under pressure. It's be water. I mean, everything he has said actually has applied to me in pretty much my entire life when it comes to music. So, don't spit on the guy who's already dead and cannot defend himself. It's a little bit disrespectful. But if they can do it right, if they can go back to the old 1960s, like the Game of Death, and try to tune it up with that kind of deep fake technology, I think you might actually have a good movie in the end. That what do you call it? George Lucas it? Special editions.
Oh man. No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be one way to save work that was never like. I mean, the Paul Walker incident with the Fast and the Furious. I mean, that would be a way to save all the scenes where his back is turned and you only hear Vin Diesel
Yeah.
talk to him. It's like, yeah. I mean, that's what they get from Paul Walker's that recorded sound clip. Yeah. Um, yeah, I do a lot of impressions. I heard you like dodging bullets. You miss it. Yeah. Like, yeah. And I mean, if we just had a good voice alike and put him in the scene and then have that, I mean, they did a pretty good job with Fast and the Furious there.
Yeah.
There's like those scenes that really meant that he need to speak. I think he can really do it now. I mean, when I listen to Paul Walker, he sounds a lot like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, he
If you had
does.
Keanu Reeves dubbing his lines, that would actually work as well. So yeah. I mean, it's something we can wish for in the future. Yeah.
Are you surprised at how long like the Fast and Furious series has been running?
20 years, man. It's insane. Starting off stealing DVDs all the way to jumping out of airplanes with cars. This is Mission freaking Impossible. Yeah,
Right?
That's and actually about that, I saw the spin-off the other day, Hobbs and Shaw. I knew I was in for a fun ride. I didn't take it seriously. I had a good time, but man, that movie was long. There were so many scenes that could have been cut down a little bit. It was exhausting a little bit, but
Yeah.
Idris Elba, great bad guy. I really like what he did, and the chemistry between The Rock and, of course, Jason Statham. I mean, that was great. I really like them. I hope they can come back and do more. But because of that, I do know that they have a beef, Vin Diesel and The Rock, and I think the whole thing is ridiculous because they said The Rock is slowing down production of the Fast and Furious 9 because of the spin-off, and I guess no. I think it's a good lead-in because this movie actually has a character. I'm wondering who it is, the hidden voice. You've seen the movie?
Yeah.
Okay. I have my two theories, and actually some people talked about it, and if we're gonna say spoiler warning,
Go for it.
who do you think that is? The voice that you hear.
I never gave it any thought. I don't know. Who do you think it
Okay.
is?
I have two ideas because at the end of Fast and the Furious 8, Cypher, the woman jumped out of the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's not dead, so
True.
she has the technology to do high-tech heists and whatever. I think she could be one of those people. But the other theory I heard some people say is that Han is back. Dark Han. He might have been fried to a crisp, but they managed to save his brain, so he has his voice, and he's been involved with both cases of Hobbs and Shaw's connection somehow, and he's out for revenge somehow. I mean, that was something I heard. Like, really, you're gonna bring back Han, but he doesn't have a body anymore. He's just he's a Krang guy, just a brain, doing a lot of revenge. But I think that's a bit far-fetched. But maybe Cypher saved Han, and Han became like the, what you would call it, not really in command, but he's like relaying the messages to Idris Elba's character. So yeah, it was so those are the two things. But I think Cypher is behind it though. So that would be, I mean, they teased that she's coming back somehow for the 9th movie.
I could definitely see that because I mean they go with Han. I mean, granted, with the direction that they've taken Fast and Furious of the last 20 years, it went from something that you could realistically see happening to it's like a Michael Bay film.
With a little bit of a Ghost in the Shell thrown in. I mean,
right?
It was complete Terminator shit going on in the last movie there. But I had a good time. A good time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, all right.
So
we went the whole turn.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So with So with this current season, is it safe to call it season 4 of Street Fighter 5? I don't think.
Let me see. They usually have like 6 fighters per season. I mean, usually they would have released one fighter every second month, right?
Yeah.
So, and right now the first one was Kage, right?
Yeah.
Evil Ryu, right?
Yeah.
And then they dropped the 3 characters. So we have 2 more, right?
Should have 2 more. Yeah.
Yeah, we should have 2 more. And of course, I have no idea. I have no speculations, but since I haven't received any news or anything, I think I'm able to speculate who it might be,
Okay.
but I'm not sure. But as you mentioned earlier, the Final Fight character that's been hinted maybe would be Maki.
Yeah, I could definitely see
In
Maki.
Seku's intro there, you see her shadow.
Yep.
That would be one more I could think of. But definitely the fighters we will not see. I think we will never see Dean from Final Fight 3.
No.
It would be a human Blanca, and I think we got enough Blancas that we can handle. And I mean, then of course, to complete the roster from Super Street Fighter 2, of course, DJ, T-Hawk, and
Mm-hmm.
Fei Long. I mean, T-Hawk, he would really tower up against Abigail for sure.
Yeah, he would.
That would be really awesome to see those huge character duke it out. But yeah, Fei Long would be probably left for next season. I mean, that's my dream because I really would like to write music for a Bruce Lee-like character. And Sek was pretty much as close as it could get to Hong Kong action cinema.
Yeah.
As it could there. But who do you think will be at the end of this season? These last 2 characters.
If anything, I really think if Capcom really want to capitalize on it, I think we possibly might get Mike Hagar. Fingers crossed. I would love to see it because how many games have said that Mike Hagar and Zangief are rivals and yet they've never been in a game together?
Yeah, you have a great point there. Yes, of course, from the old. Yeah, I mean, he was in the Saturday Night Slam Masters, right?
Yep.
But Zangief wasn't.
Which
But
is
they had
weird.
the kind of rivalry between. Oh no, I'm thinking about Alex. I'm thinking Alex versus Hugo. There was like Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant.
Yep.
Staring down each other there. Right. But yeah, Mike Hagar would be cool because then we're just missing one more guy, which is
Guy.
I know a guy. I know a guy like you.
But yeah, I mean, I could see Mike Hagar. I think it's without a question we're gonna get Guy at some point. I think he's kind of a guarantee. Although some people have said that they'd rather not have Guy because we have Zeku, but I'm like, they don't play the same.
Right. Yeah. I definitely think maybe if not Guy this season, maybe they do like a trade-off with Mike Hagar and a Street Fighter 2 character, and then next season Guy will appear.
Yeah.
With the other cast of the Street Fighter 2. But yeah, a lot of people have been talking about why isn't Makoto in this game yet? And I kept telling you, technically this game takes place before Street Fighter 3.
Yeah.
Because she takes over Sakura's role, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
people are still screaming, Sakura. No, Makoto. When is she coming?
Because 5 is literally right before, I think plot-wise, right before 3.
Exactly, yeah.
So
it's like Street Fighter 2.5.
Yeah.
Technically, this is what it is. Yeah. And so, yeah, because in the end, I mean, what is it? The end boss in Street Fighter 3 is basically, oh man, what's his name?
Gil?
LTG play this guy all the time.
Oh, Gil,
right.
There's Gil and Urien.
Yeah, so Urien would be maybe transformed into Gil and then later back to I mean, they play very similar, right?
Yeah, 'cause I think the only difference is
The
Gil,
color. But
the color. I think Gil is lightning and stone, and then no, that's Urian. Urian's lightning and stone, and Gil is fire and ice. But
all right, okay.
yeah, but I think they're brothers. I think. Yeah,
Probably clone babies, right?
yeah,
Out of the
yeah,
Psycho thing, yeah.
yeah.
And that
So
leaves us to decide what's going to happen with Ed, because he's technically these guys, but more athletic,
yeah,
more martial arts style, and smaller and faster. So that's going to be interesting to see how they play out later in the next game, which we already know is Street Fighter 3. But then jumping to Street Fighter 6, that's going to be the most interesting jump, because I wonder how they will build this game from scratch again. I mean, when they released Street Fighter 5, I wasn't there when they started,
hmm
but it was like a pure tournament fighter only
yeah,
kind of thing with a very bad net code and not so
yeah,
many characters.
yeah.
So I hope maybe at least when they start up the next game, I really wish they have maybe 15 to 20 characters
At
straight
launch.
off from the roster.
Yeah,
That would be the best way, because as a, yeah, I mean, I check Angry Joe, I check many other shows, and there are very few games that are really doing it justice for a $60 game,
yeah,
like what's it, Project CD Red. I mean,
yeah.
those guys are amazing.
They are.
So much value, and if a fighting game can pack that value, and of course, as Capcom has done, you can earn the new characters by just grinding without paying real money. I mean, I think that's really, really nice of Capcom, that giving you the option to do so. And I hope they can continue the tradition for
Yeah,
$60. And if you want the extra costume, of course, you might have to pay money or do those challenges
yeah,
to get the stuff. So yeah, I think it's all fair.
yeah.
But
You know what's interesting is a lot of people don't even know that you can grind and unlock the characters with fight money. I've seen a lot of people complain and say, "Oh, well, it's another season. We got to pay $30 for another season pass." I'm like, and I used to do this where I would jump in the forums or jump in the groups and be debating people, say, "No, you can just grind." But I stopped doing that because it's like if you're willing to say that you have to pay just to get the characters, that tells me you don't really play the game. So,
exactly, and I think it's kind of dangerous just buying the character off the cuff, and I think grinding is a way to get better with the other characters before you try to pursue a new character to main.
yeah.
Um, I mean, right now, I mean, I was blown away when I saw people playing with Lucia this last few weeks, and how they managed to use her fire ability to really kick away really fast projectiles and burn the
Mm-hmm.
guys in so many different ways. I was like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. Uh, so it's pretty cool that people are finding new ways to approach this new character. I mean, when you saw Lucia the first time, you saw that little flick kick and the little fireball just doing a little curve there,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't impressive. But when you now start to see players utilizing it's like Cody's bat, right? He
Yeah.
throws up a rock, and I never got that to work for me. I mean, I play only way I can play Street Fighter 5 right now is if I go to the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have a PlayStation 4. Sorry, guys. But try to get into practice mode with Cody. I could never get my pipe to hit the rock. I never managed to get a full strike. You have to have some skills, man.
Yeah,
It seems really difficult.
it's hard. You know, the way that they changed up Cody entirely, like especially because that's what his V trigger too, and you really, I think it's half of a second after he throws it up, then you got to press it to swing, and then you can control either he's gonna swing directly at you, knock it in the air, and it then drops down at a distance, or if it's gonna just hit the ground and do a pop fly. It's and I know a lot of people hate Street Fighter 5, but I feel like they got pretty creative with the characters. You know, it's the way that one person plays is going to be entirely different. And I know that can be said of any Street Fighters, but you could tell that they really wanted to do something different with 5. You know, Cody from 4 to 5 is entirely different. Literally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like the most expected character of all time, but
Yeah.
how can they make him stand out from the previous alteration? And when they threw in that that pipe,
Yeah.
how is he gonna use that? And then he starts using it, and then you try yourself and you realize how much skill you need to be able to
Yeah.
pull off his stuff with the V trigger too. So it's no longer a game of chance, and now you have to be very calculated in your approach to play with a character like Cody. So
Yeah.
hats off to you guys, and of course Kenny Omega, congratulations. Yeah, actually I was so happy to meet him last year though, so that was amazing.
He's an awesome guy. I was able
Yeah.
to finally get in contact with him when I went to E3. I get to meet him, so eventually, you know, whenever his schedule, because I think with the whole AEW thing, his schedule is so insane right now. So
Yeah.
probably, I think for all these wrestlers, their schedules are insane. So because I do a lot of teasing. I mean, you've seen a lot of the wrestlers I've teased to come on the show, and it's just like when people are like, oh, when are they coming on? I'm like, when wrestling season slows down.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we'll just have them just hop on. I'm like, I don't think you guys understand how these they're on the road year round.
Touring with an entire entourage of people.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
Yeah, so I mean, I was so surprised when I found out that, oh, Kenny Omega, oh, he's living here in Japan. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, so but maybe now he's moving back to the United States or Canada. I'm not sure yet, but by the time I saw him, yeah, he's very active on the Japanese wrestling Fire Pro scene. So
yeah.
but man, I thought it was. I mean, when you see wrestlers on TV, I think they're like huge guys. I mean, when I was a kid, I was a fan of The Undertaker.
Yeah. That guy
Yeah.
is huge.
He is huge. Yeah. And then I saw Kenny Omega, and he's walking around in the independent game area in Tokyo Game. She's like, wait a minute, that's Kenny Omega. I'm like, who? And he's like, huh? And I mean, the strange thing is when I took a face, like a selfie with him,
Mm-hmm.
and we both smiling, and I just realized we have the same nose, we have the same face, we have the same smile, the same eyes. We could be brother if I just colored my hair blonde and everything.
And you brought back the mullet.
Yeah, I need to grow back a mullet and go hard. So it was kind of weird when I looked at the picture. Wow, he looks like me without glasses and if I worked out. Which is fun because just like you and me, I actually started to go to the gym now for about 2 or 3 months now, and putting on some
How you feel?
real muscle now. So I started to feel very happy. So that was quite a motivator. Thanks to you.
Oh
And Kenny.
Oh man, I went to the I think the last time I went to the gym before this past week was the week of E3, and then ever since I came back, it's just been just constantly something new. I'm like, okay, I'll get to the gym eventually, and then I just settled down one day. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go work out. That kicked my ass. Oh my god! That first day back, you're thinking, I'm gonna do everything I was doing before. No, the gym will humble you.
Yeah, I had 1 week off when I got back. I couldn't do the same amount of reps or sets that I did before.
Yeah.
I was like, because I had a really bad cough or a cold or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the gym really kicked my ass, but that told me, okay, I should not give up. And last Monday, since I'm in a Japanese gym, you rarely see foreigners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's this guy from Canada. He has a very particular interesting dialect because I guess he's Egyptian Canadian,
Mm-hmm.
and he used to be uh, yeah, physical trainer, a PT,
Oh
a
wow.
private trainer as well, and he coached me, and damn, I had so much training ache the next day, but it was totally worth it. And but he had such interesting English because we need to roll your shoulders. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger style. Yeah, uh, you need to roll your shoulders. Ugh. uh, so just doing those small extra steps in the exercise. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I now in the last 2 days, he said, yeah, go 2 days to the gym. First day lightweight, second day a little bit heavier, 1 day rest, and then 1 day cardio, 1 day rest, and then again repeat of the pattern. 2 days in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
light weights, heavy weights, rest, cardio, back. So thanks to him, I actually grew muscle mass really fast in just these 4 days this week. So
Wow.
really, really interesting. So he was supposed to be a police officer, the Mountaineers.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually was riding horse, but his wife, Japanese, said, "Let's move to Japan." And I'm like, oh. so so I'm glad he's in my area, so I get to have a little PT myself. So it's really
Nice.
helpful.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's actually a good workout regimen too, because I was thinking about like the way I was doing workouts for like a year. I would start off with like 20 minutes of cardio and then go into weights. I'd go light, high reps, and then slow it down and get down to like doing heavy reps, heavy weights, low reps. And then I try to end it on hit workouts. And
Right.
I would feel like by the time I finished that workout, I'm like, I don't think I can walk to the car to drive home. And I was doing that for like 4 to 5 times a week. So like when I took that time off, that 2 months, and then I came back trying to do that. That's why I think I made a post. I was like, I worked out so hard, I puked when I got home. I was My body was like, you're never doing that again.
Yeah, shocking your body come direct after a vacation. Yeah, I that's the scariest thing because it's like, oh man, you start to feel guilty about yourself. Like,
Yeah.
why haven't I been to the gym? Why haven't I done that? And you come in, you push the first day, and you just wreck yourself. So now I know because in less than a month, I'm going back to Sweden just to visit my parents. Now that's going to be like a whole week. I'm not going to be in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to look at it. I'm going to try to at least walk 10,000 steps a day
Mm-hmm.
because that's basically my vacation though. And keep up that part. But whatever I'm eating, man, I'm gonna enjoy it. But man, I'm gonna hate myself when I come back. That's for sure.
Well, we definitely need to get you out here to Hawaii one of these days, man. You got a house you can stay at? You can stay at my house.
Cool.
Just saying.
All right. I'd love to come by after seeing Hobbs and Shaw. Well, they went to Samoa, but yeah, that was good. Yeah, I wouldn't mind coming. Actually, right now we do have typhoon season here in
Yeah.
Japan. So, what's the you get typhoons out there in Hawaii as well?
Yeah, we actually just had we've got one typhoon that's I think off the coast of Big Island right now. And about a week ago, I want to say a week and a half ago, we had what did we have? We had 2 back-to-back hurricanes within days of each other, but all they did was just go, "Oh, Big Island, we're gonna go this way." So I mean, it cooled off. We got rain, we got a lot of wind, and it was good. And then for this last week, we've been paying for it because it is, God, it's hot.
Yeah, the humidity that follows up after these kind of thing. Yeah, it really beats you.
Ugh.
Really bad.
I think our heat index is like 107, 108 degrees. It's hot.
So that's about 42, 40, say 42 degrees Celsius.
Celsius, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's a killer. Yeah, I mean that's when you wish you could go to the bathhouse every day, right?
Right. Oh man. So with your work for on Street Fighter 5 season, okay, we can just say it, season 4. Season 4.
That's right.
So with E Honda and with Lucia, what was the motivating factor? Like, I'm really curious about Lucia, but I want to know, like, your take on E Honda's theme, Edmund Honda's theme.
All right. Yeah. Please tell me more.
No. I was
I'd
gonna
like to know.
say, like, what's because yours it stays true to the original, but it also deviates into an original style that's it's definitely you. So, and you're an awesome composer. So,
Oh wow, thank you.
I just gotta say it, man. You're up there. Like, for me, you and Yuzo Koshiro are up there. Like, your work is that good. That's how much I love it.
I feel very humbled now. Yeah, definitely. Yuzo Koshiro's work really has paid off to influence me to some degree. But right now, when it comes to E Honda, of course, the original composer of that track, Yuko Shimomura-san, who I actually met. She was the composer for all the entire Street Fighter 2 soundtrack, the original CPS board.
Wow.
I mean, she's so nice and she's so fun to talk to. But when I was given this task, I mean, that's a really Japanese character, and they want a gaijin to write the song. I feel a bit intimidated. That was the same thing when I wrote music for a couple of Samurai Spirit pachinko machines, not the Samurai Shodown games, that would really be nice. But I've been writing Japanese music for maybe about 8 years. Actually, before I moved to Japan, I love playing all the black keys on the piano. I mean, there's no easier way to write Japanese music than using the black keys.
Yeah.
But of course, that also means that's a kind of a Western way to stereotype a culture, and I try to get away from this Asian riff, dig ding 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 ding, as much as possible, because and of course in Japanese music you have the shamisen, who's that's like a string instrument, like a think of it as a banjo but with 3 strings, but the strings are tuned in fifths, so you have the bang boom bring bring, kind of cool, almost like a rock guitar power chord always going for it.
Oh, okay.
But the thing here, like, okay, but that's how the instrument is sound, that's how the instrument play, but I didn't go into riffing the Western way. Another direction from Capcom was that we want this song to sound so wrong as possible. Like, what do you mean by wrong? Well, of course, they explained to me, if you look at the video files of the story, you see he's taking care of a bathhouse and has a lot of tourists. So think of the image that a tourist would have coming to Japan. It needs to be high tech and cool and traditional. So all this thing needs to mix, but it needs to feel, it's like a foreigner's idea of Japanese daily life is like high tech, low life, full speed. So with that in mind, I decided, well, I cannot do what they did with the CPS-1 cabinet or the Super Street Fighter 2 CPS-2 cabinet. So I had to find a bunch of mix between electronic instruments and, of course, the traditional koto and shamisen and shakuhachi. And, of course, I play that flute line as well for live as well. But from that moment on, I mean, those are the 3 most traditional instruments. But I needed to dig deep into my electronics to really change it. But then I thought, wait a minute. E Honda, he's like a service guy. He's actually a nice guy. And he just want to take care of the customers in the best way possible. but most of the customers right now who are in the story are fighters in some way. And so I thought, let me do a chant. So the voices you hear in the background is actually me chanting. People ask, oh, what is it? What are they saying in Japanese? And I actually played this song to some of my students,
Mhm.
and I was asking them, "So what do you hear in this Japanese choir?" And it was kind of interesting because maybe together with the drums and the percussive instrument, it
Mhm.
sounds like I'm saying something completely different. But what I'm really saying is Aikido sama sama, karate sama sama. So Aikido,
Yeah.
um, martial arts. And of course, the phrase sama sama actually means customer.
Mhm.
And of course, karate sama sama. Oh, karate customer. All right. Yeah. Come in, cool down. Uh, but then my Japanese student said, oh, it sounds like he says Aikido Saba Saba. Saba is basically the most traditional judo grip, sumo grip, where you take the guy and back break,
Mhm.
like face to face and like that, like a bear hug.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's actually pretty cool. So that actually kind of fits too,
Yeah.
because Honda can destroy anybody.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, when I played Street Fighter 2, it was impossible to jump over Honda because he has that karate chop coming up and
Yep.
takes you down. So it was kind of funny that they also heard the word Saba Saba. Um, but and Capcom didn't say anything about it. So I was like, cool. So uh, so it's actually it's the voice that is whispering
Mhm.
together with the choir, and the rest is a sample library I cut up. So I actually got like the ka sa ma, uh, like the vowels or the things from a monk library, I believe,
Mhm.
and then I made that work with the music. So that was really fun.
Ooh.
Um, so yeah, basically, imagine what a foreigner would image Japan to be like. The entire wrong picture of this thing, and then you do it. And the thing was, I did it on my first try, and they just
Really?
accepted the song straight away. I didn't need to do any revisions whatsoever, and boom, that's the song you hear in the game.
What? Wow. See, and
Lucky,
that
lucky, very, very lucky.
no, 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 not lucky. That's a testament to how good you are. Just saying.
Uh,
Just saying.
all right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, whenever I was under this pressure, like, oh, I need to make it wrong, I was like, doesn't matter what I do, I fuck up anyway. I mean, it's such a classic character, and I just hope this is not going to be it. And then, of course, I got to do his story mode as well.
Mhm.
And of course, you get to drool a little bit. I mean, that is so much skin, so much bath towels, and of course the little skits in there. But that was actually very quick work. I think the story mode itself, I just took maybe 2 or 3 days to produce, and
Mhm.
I was done. So,
Wow.
and that pretty much concludes my feeling of E Honda's character theme. But the theme that some other guy did for the bathhouse, that is amazing.
Mhm.
The music, how it interacts and how it wraps up the round, and it's like very, very cool. So
Yeah.
I really like the guys who did the bathhouse theme. So yeah, that was E Honda.
And then with Lucia.
Oh yeah, this one was very, very fun. Of course, when I heard Lucia is coming back, and I saw her animation, some pictures, I was like, wait, Final Fight 3, because all I got was she's speaking to Mike Hagger in the opening sequence
Mhm.
of my story. I was like, oh wow, cool. And And then I heard from Capcom sound director that we would like it to be 80s, 90s cop drama TV show. Think
Mhm.
Miami Vice. Think The Shield,
Ooh.
and maybe a little bit of 21 Jump Street in there, and you that's what you should aim for. So I thought, okay, Miami Vice, it's all complete synthesizer based music. So
Mhm.
I didn't have any brass or whatever. And actually, I think my first draft I actually have there on YouTube. I actually can play it in the background if it works.
Go for it.
Can I see if it's there?
Go for it.
So you can hear my first draft in just a few seconds here. Oh, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes, you're there.
I'm
Yes,
here.
I'm afraid I was going in through the wrong window here. Okay. Computers these days. I did not plan this one out.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, so here's the first draft of her theme. I try to shut up here. But the intro, they said, we want the intro to be from Final Fight 3, the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they show me the video. There's like an exploding car happening, and then the music kicks off. And some people say, oh, that's the song called The Explosive Situation.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I mean, I played the game, but I didn't think there was any kind of, like, if you listen to the soundtrack, I don't think there's any titles.
No, and there's nothing that stands out as far as the music. I think it repeats the same 2 or 3 songs throughout the entire game. It's no Streets of Rage, the Final Fight 2 and 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when that song kicks off, it has kind of this kind of organ, kind of chip tune thing,
Mm-hmm.
scaling up, and that actually became the intro. And after that, 10 seconds, it's all completely original. But here's the first draft of my take of the character here.
Okay.
So Lucia's theme, the first draft. Here we go. That was my first draft of Lucia's theme, but the Capcom said no. Okay, so maybe they thought this music sounded a little bit too dark for them, or Lucia needs a little bit more life, so not completely all synthetic as I imagine, like Miami Vice. It was all electronic score.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they like the intro. They like the sound sources I've chosen, but just too much. It was just too brutal, I
Yeah.
think, for them. So my second try, I added instead of the synth brass, I brought in my the classic Seku brass section that I've done before,
Mm-hmm.
and tightened that up. And then when we came back to the end of the song, we needed to have a more quiet section of it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, well, what do you want? And then, yeah, listen to this. And they showed me a clip from, what was it, 1976, Dirty Harry.
Really?
Yeah, and they said, uh, look, listen to the bass and the flute. And they had a kind of like, yeah, noir, San Francisco noir kind of style in it.
Oh.
And that's how we ended up in the end before the song loops again. So there's a little bit of nod to Dirty Harry at the end of her loop there. So
I didn't even think about that. That's cool. It kind of makes me
yeah.
think of like with the your initial drafts for like Cody's themes and how uh, you had to change it because they were too, I guess, too dark for the direction they were going with Cody. But yeah, I love it. It's the intro to the podcast, which, man,
Oh yeah, you're still using that one.
I love it. I love it. Oh man, it's just it just goes like, and you know, anyone who's listening or watching when this goes live, um, you need to go over to Daniel's YouTube channel. The man has concepts, original works, and they're just so damn good. Just, you know, actually, I was thinking about this completely off topic, but you know
All
how
right, yeah, sure.
you know how like when you stream on Facebook and you stream like your process of music creation, I
Yeah.
was thinking, man, you should totally do that on Mixer. Should totally, like, Mixer has a whole section for that.
Oh, well, I've been thinking about doing such stuff, but my studio is in a very bad condition for the Wi-Fi.
Oh,
If I move to another place and I have better Wi-Fi, I will probably do that as well.
oh,
So right now,
I was gonna.
doing post videos. Actually, that's the reason I bought what was it, a graphics capture card,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a small one, but it records directly onto an SD card.
Wow.
And so I probably would doing like walkthrough videos about my composition process and do talkovers me while I write music, and then post on the internet maybe in 1 hour chunks,
Okay.
stuff like that. Or even better, um, even on this show, you might give me a challenge what I should compose next. I mean, I've been doing these challenges for myself. Before I met you, I think I had something on Twitter
Yeah.
where I did like a poll. So we have these 3 games and these 3 songs to choose from,
Yeah.
fourth choice, right? And then you vote. And that's going to be my challenge to complete that song due time when I have it. And then I upload it to the YouTube channel. And that it was really, really fun, especially Sagat's theme that I did a version of.
Yeah.
You heard it, right?
Your Sagat thing was, man, it was so good when you brought, especially when you brought in the horns. Ooh, loved it.
Yes, one saxophone. But yeah, it's really, I really like that song because of the odd time signature, and the original was great. But then I played when I finally got Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo for the PC, the CD version
Mm-hmm.
by I think it was a British company who did the conversion, Game Tech. And the guy who wrote the music for that Red Book Media thing, man, we're friends on Facebook today. And I said, man, I really love your take on Sagat and how you did Ken's theme and all that stuff. I think his name is Neil something.
Mm-hmm.
Very good musician, but I think he stopped writing music for computer games. I'm not sure,
Mm-hmm.
but I think for me that was probably one of the best PC versions of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo I've ever played. And that CD music for that time, I think he was only using a Korg Trinity.
Wow.
Yeah, only one synthesizer at the time, and I mean that was before we even could do hard disk recording. So just amazing stuff he managed to pull out of his ass. I mean, fantastic stuff.
I mean, it's like,
But his version of the Sagat theme is fantastic.
yeah,
It's so crisp and clean. Have you heard the PC version
yeah,
of Super?
yep,
Yeah,
loved it, loved it.
yeah,
It's one of those things too. Like this kind of ties back into what we were saying earlier about how like technology and you know you go back to the 90s, like the 90s to now, it's like a whole different era of, especially when it comes to technology. It's hard
yeah.
to
We're
believe,
getting old.
right? You know, it's like you think about it and you're like, man, if like the stuff that we have now back in the 90s was like a futuristic concept, like full screen touchscreen phones, or the TVs that are super thin. Like I saw a TV at Best Buy that you can literally, it's like a kind of like a projector screen. You can just pull it down and it's super high definition and it's paper thin. And I'm like, man, if you were in the 90s, you never would have thought anything like that as
Right.
purchasable at all, or
We
even
would
possible.
have three by four TV screens a la Total Recall, almost watching
Yep.
it stacked on top of each other,
Yeah.
and I call it high tech. Yeah, I mean that was cool at the time, uh, but yeah, the technology now. I mean, maybe not many people know this, but all the music you've heard so far that I've made it from 2010 up until now, it's all been made on laptop. Um, I don't go into studios or anything like that. It's all made on my laptop with some different ways of input devices like wind synthesizers or breath controllers. But I haven't used a real guitar for a long time. I do play guitar, I play bass, but it's like I have no space.
Yeah.
But I do know the limitations of the instruments, and today there's been a lot of good people managed to convert them into good contact libraries, and but of course I do know what you cannot do on a bass. So I try to play as natural as programming the bass or perform as good as possible for the real thing, and go with that. I mean, the guitar solo that we heard in Lucia's theme that did not end up in the game, it's all on keyboard. It's just crazy. I mean, I could have played it for a real guitar too, but I just felt, man, that was like, I think I did that guitar solo in just first take only, and then yeah, it was just crazy. I mean, that's what I love. I mean, a lot of I'm not going to call myself a bedroom composer or a bedroom producer, but when you look at these people who are producing techno albums on their laptop and stuff like that, they just clicking in with mouse, and they don't really perform the notes, and it kind of becomes that mechanical machine-like notion of writing a song. It feels more like painting rather than performing.
Yeah.
And I think that actually what makes me and maybe a few others, like Hans Zimmer, he says that even thought the music I've written, every note has been performed by Hans. And that's why his synthesizer stuff sounds so different from other synthesizer artists, because he really performs, play it for real. And that's the same approach I have as well. And that's why I think I'm not trying to boast myself, but I mean, the thing that many people with digital tools are doing or lacking is dynamics. And I think that was make my music like Seku's theme is like it feels like a live recording.
It does. It does.
And then I listened to Seku's theme just earlier last week. I mean, it's been such a long time, but I'm getting blown away how retro it sounds. It's not trying to sound digital. It just tried to be this analog right in the mid center. There's no high frequencies. They're low frequencies, but they're not prominent like a real LP. And then I listen, and someone wrote, "Man, this sounds like Zach Singer's stuff." And yeah, you know Zach Singer?
Yeah.
he did a New York Christmas stage or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
and I went back and listened to his stuff, and man, Zach is good, but the only thing that's real in his song is his saxophone. Everything else is computerized. And I'm not saying anything bad about Zach, but when I do get that, wow, this sounds like Zach Singer, I think that's a really high mark to reach. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy about that. But then going back, I mean, of course, after a few years, I may not think that Seku's theme is any good. I mean, that's what other people, I mean, you look back at your own work and you look at like, man, I was really bad. And then
Yeah.
it's like, now I can move on and don't think, I mean, I think working on Street Fighter and coming so late into the game, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I thought I already missed a train when they released the game. I thought, okay, that's it. The game is out. I missed it. I can't do anything. And then they started with the seasons. I was like, wow, I'm still alive. But I had no idea I would be writing music for Street Fighter at all. I mean, that was just uh, word of mouth somehow might have
Mm-hmm.
reached Capcom's office. But they already had really great people. So I was like, why now? Why me?
Mm-hmm.
That's always been a question how I ended up there. And I'm still not sure if I'm just super lucky or just being able to come back. I mean, that's what I hear. It's really, really hard to like write music, one song, and then get back. I mean, when you look at the CD now, I mean, I'm looking at the guy. I actually know this guy. He wrote the title melody for Street Fighter Five.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I think his name is McKnight. Really nice guy. He's a great drummer. He's a great guitarist. He's a great singer. Uh, and he's been writing like maybe maybe 6 or 8 tracks from the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and from there on, the new stuff. I'm not sure. I don't think he ever came back later. Uh, and now I have to start to get more tracks in the Japanese composers on the soundtrack, and I was like, what the hell is going on? I did not expect that. Uh, but then we do have one guy. I also met him in person. That of course is he goes by he has a very interesting nickname, Godspeed Akiyama. I guess that's his name, Godspeed Akiyama.
Okay.
And actually, he's the one who's doing the not the intro, but he's doing the menu theme. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, you really like Meshuggah, don't you?
Yeah.
It's a Swedish band. I was like, yeah, I love Meshuggah. I was like, so we hang out and we talked, and I met him at a music meetup for sound engineers. Well, yes, sat down and talked about Street Fighter. It was really nice. So yeah, I think he used to be in house at Capcom, but now he's actually a freelancer
Mm-hmm.
as well. Uh, so it's incredible how this industry has changed. Just I mean, either you were part of a company, but now like yeah, sound people are sound people. Music is not really considered its own section of a company. It's still part of a sound team.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, and maybe if you're a freelancer, I guess you have more artistic freedom to do what you want to do. And I guess right now I'm very, very lucky, but I do still, I mean, right now I might be writing music for this year. It's only been like 20%,
Mm-hmm.
20% writing music, and then 20% performing with my other live band. We're actually a duo. Um, and then the rest of the thing is teaching 60%. But I'm hoping that I might. Right now, I have a guy who's looking for a full-time job for me in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an interview in Japanese, and he said, "Yeah, you're gonna fit right in. I mean, the most important here is that your music
Mm-hmm.
is really speaking to me, and if we can find a company to work for." And I say, "Which company would you like to work for?" And it's like, that companies come back to me a lot has been Capcom. If I could work for them, that would be that would be fantastic. But they haven't asked me yet. I mean, they don't announce this on the newspaper or anything. So just to track me through the back channels.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if not Capcom, I would like to work for Bandai Namco and do Ace Combat or the Tekken series will also be a good fit for me. But yeah, anything beyond that, I think there's a lot of things I can still do. Plus, you remember you introduced me to a guy who did independent fighting game,
Fallen City Brawl.
Fallen City Brawl. Yeah, right now it seems we're a little bit on a holding pattern for now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's a little bit scared. I'm not sure what's going on there. But I mean, it's very, very nice that independent game developers are thinking about music and money. So I really, I'm very happy that he's thinking about it. So he's like, let's pull the brakes a little bit until we have funding and stuff like that. So, but I said, you know what? If you need something to help him impress with the customer and fundings, I'll write music for you for your video or whatever you're going to be presenting. That's fine by me, and we'll take it later on down the road. So right now, I've been looking at his work. His updates are great.
Yeah.
I really like all of his like dynamic damage thing he puts into the stages. It's really amazing to see. That's just a job of one guy. That still really blows my mind.
Yeah, that's definitely the crazy thing. Is like, he's come a long way with the years he's been putting into making this, and it's that's one thing. Like I feel like a lot of people don't understand that when you're creating things and you're trying to, like, you're a one-man team, like for you with music, him with his game and me with the podcast, it's demanding. It's demanding. It's time consuming. You hit points where you're at a blockade of creativity, and you literally, the best thing you can do at times is just walk away from it for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, writer's block, composer's block. I was like, yeah, don't be stupid. Don't stand there. Go out. Go watch a movie. Get outside and take a break, because you're not on a deadline. Sure, you would like to have the game out there. I mean, there's something we all looking forward to, but for me, deadlines are motivators, and that what really gets me to spurt out the music. I mean, 3 hours is all I need to create a demo to send to the client. And then whatever they say, then I actually have something to work towards and enjoy. I mean, it's better for you to be control of the deadline instead of the deadline controlling you. So that's a little bit of a philosophy. Avoid the punch before you get hit. Basically.
Yeah. Oh man, are you? Cause I know it officially has been announced. I think we've known about this for a while, but King of Fighters 15. Are you on that project?
I have not been involved with any King of Fighters related things lately. I mean, that will be, if they're doing the same thing I like to do with Street Fighter, if they have seasons. I've done work for SNK before, but not for like real interactive stuff. It's just been pachinko machines, but that's like been outsourced to Sammy. But yeah, I would love to write music for a King of Fighters game for sure. But right now I have nothing to do with it, unfortunately.
Okay.
But that would be a dream come true if they come and ask. That would be fantastic.
Let me drop your name. I know some people in SNK.
Okay, cool, man. I would love to.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's I mean the music from King of Fighters. I mean, I would say from King of Fighters 94 till 98, I think that has been the best music I've ever heard, besides Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And the new comeback of Samurai Showdown.
Oh man,
that just blew my mind when I saw what they did. I mean, of course, I'm not a Galford fan, but Man, I would love to write music for Galford. Galfordo. Isa, Shimoshidoni, Ippon, Solo. Yeah. Yeah, I really like Earthquake's theme from Samurai Showdown 1. That was pure metal. I really liked that. And then there was a few other guys in Samurai Showdown 4, the fire dude. He had a really cool acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Guitar-based music.
Was it Zogetsu? Because it
Yeah,
was,
I think something like that.
yeah.
Sosetsu or something, yeah. I mean, the consistency of the graphics, the way the people move, of course, if you're playing with the blood on, the decapitations. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a bloody guy. Well, what did it say? Violent video games make violent people.
Oh,
No, not only
goodness.
that. Yeah, I mean, that's something that really needs to be talked about. I played a lot of fighting games in my youth. I played international karate on my C64. Of course, my parents at the time thought I'm an action fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I didn't go to the school to kick somebody down. No, never.
Yeah.
I just think it's a ridiculous thing to say that violent computer games will make people violent. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
It's you come back from work or your school, you feel frustrated, take it out on the game, boom,
Yeah.
your levels are down, you're cooling it off.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And
The problem is guns.
yeah. Because I definitely feel like it's gotten to a point where, this topic, and I feel like it's been proven false time and time and time. Every time they try to bring it up as a talking point, it's like, no, the violence in games, because if you're going to target games, you need to target music, then you need to target movies, you need to target books, you need to target any interactive medium, because violence is in everything. But that does not mean that that's going to attune you to being a violent person. You have to look at the situation. Like, okay, I'll be completely honest. America has a really bad gun problem. We do. And it's like, why are we not looking at what's causing that? Like, what's causing these issues of these mass, things that are going on in the fighting? Like, that needs...
I remember that stupid tweet, man. They don't have video games in Japan, so there's no violence. Like,
oh my God.
I mean, if that was true, of course, then Sweden and South Korea and Japan would be wastelands by this point. But so yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. It's a terrible thing that happened. Yeah, it's a terrible thing that happened. But I think when you're going after video games, you're barking up the wrong tree. If you can get a what was it, AR-15? Remember, I'm a Swedish guy. I don't have access to guns. I never did the military.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can be 15 years old to buy a gun, but you're not old enough to buy alcohol, and then that's where I start to see it just doesn't make any sense to me.
That's the same for me too, because it's like, I've never understood how, here in America, you can sign up to join the military at 18, 17. I think the earliest is 17.
Sign up. So it's voluntary, you say?
Yeah, you can sign up. You can voluntarily sign up to. It's sort of voluntary, because we especially if you're a male, you have to
do the drafting.
Yeah, you have to do the selective service form, which I think I need to renew mine's, which I think I'm past the point where I can even join anyway. But yeah, so you can sign up to willingly join the military at 17, 18 years old. You can go to war, you can kill people, you can fire guns, but you can't drink alcohol till you're 21.
That's just messed up.
It
yeah, I know. We're both laughing at it. Yeah, I mean, the priorities is wrong. And of course, we all know, I mean, I'm not supposed to be dabbling in politics. I mean, people say, musicians, you shouldn't talk about politics or stuff like that. But I'm really happy that you have a show that you actually have an outlet for many, many things. Even
Yeah.
today, we're talking about computer games in general.
Mhm.
I really like when you're having debates about very important topics. But I'm glad we actually both have the same view about guns and the just the crazy thing that revolves around the game. I mean, guns correlating to computer game violence. I'm glad we're both on the same page.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy Doom. I like to, play Doom, especially the new Doom. I love it.
Oh yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm gonna go out and get an AR-15 or whatever and go do some type of atrocity. And it's like, it makes me wonder how out of touch are these people that are making these talking points. Like who is the person that's giving these people the talking points?
Who's from the 19th century?
What are we doing? Shooting muskets or something?
Exactly. I mean, that was. I mean, I've read about the Second Amendment, and that's actually true. You said muskets.
Yeah.
That was the only true way to bear arms, but it was only for militia, if I'm remembered, not for everybody. Controlled militia in case of invasion. Blah blah blah. So yeah, I mean, the Second Amendment needs to be mended. I mean, that's what it calls an amendment, right?
Yeah.
So, oh man, yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, it does need to. I mean, there needs to be amendments across the board on it, because things that were prevalent 200 or so years ago aren't really a thing now.
Exactly.
So I don't know. Like,
I mean, that's why we have the what is it called, MSRB rankings on the computer games. I mean, if you're a parent buying a computer game, I mean, I remember I was reading like an old comic strip. I think the comic strip was Foxtrot. Remember those?
Yeah.
And the little kid is playing a really bloody game, and the father says, are you playing a violent video game? No, it's rated M. Oh, M for mild. Okay, we're fine. I thought that was. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, parents is the ultimate responsibility. I mean, I see the same problem happening in Sweden as well. I mean, what happened when you go out, you're eating in a restaurant, and suddenly the kid starts crying, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't take the time to sit down and talk and say, hey, what you're doing right now, you're behaving really badly. If you're quiet, you can get an ice cream. I mean, they don't do that. They just put the smartphone right in front of the faces. Here, play Angry Birds,
Yeah.
It makes me so upset. I mean, that's the craziest thing. Here in Japan, little kids have full respect for their parents. I mean, even against the teachers. And even though we have a smartphone society here now, of course, kids will not get a smartphone until they're like 15 or 16. Anything before that, it's all micromanaged by the parents here. And it's really good. I'm happy to see that. Okay, sometimes we have the Yakuza parents. I mean, they are the worst. They're it's like, it's like, shut up and play, basically. And it's like, oh man, they are gonna have the worst spoiled kids ever. You know? It's like, no one is earning that's what we're missing now these days. I mean, that's kids need to understand how to earn the right to do something, I think. And Sweden is falling behind as well. I mean, that's the problem being in the IT country, is that you start to get lazy a lot. Yeah, you think the internet will carry all the answers for your research, but then you realize it's full of shit like Alex Jones out there. It's worst conspiracy theories of all.
They're turning the frogs gay.
Exactly. They're drinking water. Oh man. And the worst thing of all is I have friends in Sweden who believes everything Alex Jones have said. And I was like, oh man, how am I going to deal with this when I get home? Usually I let them get away with a free pass because they're my friends. And I mean, we have a common objectivity in music and stuff like that. But when they're starting talking about space aliens in Area 51 uh, and of course they're uh, they're poisoning the earth with the what do you call this
What
thing
was
coming
it
out of
he
their
said?
airplanes and shit like that?
Oh yeah,
Chemtrails,
the
chemtrails.
trails, the chemtrails.
Yeah, chemtrail. That's like, I would really like to tell them to please hold it, cowboy. Let me tell you something. I mean, but of course, at the time, sure, they're a lot older than me. And of course, you and I, we always say respect your elders.
Yeah.
But then you come to a point you realize, man, I've been told a lot of shit by these people that stresses the shit out of me. I mean, the worst thing was when I was here during the 311 earthquake tsunami that hit Japan, right? Luckily, my wife, she was in South Korea and she was in a restaurant eating, and then the Korean host said, "Hey, look at TV, your country. Oh, cool action film." And she was eating her ramen. She didn't know this was happening live, right? Uh, and I was walking out and I saw this woman carrying her baby and a strap, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I need to go back home and get a plastic bag because I'm going to go shopping, shopping for food." 5 meters away from the door, the entire thing started to shake. I mean, all the cars that were parked in their spot were sliding out of their spot, and we were like floating on, like it was a surfboard, man. It was crazy. Yeah. And then it started to settle down a little bit, and I said, okay, I need to check so everything's fine in my apartment, get my plastic bag and get out.
Yeah.
I go in, and luckily we have 2 floors. So right now I'm on the 2nd floor. The 1st floor looked fine. Only one broken piece of a glass. That's it. That's the only damage that was downstairs. Then I came up to my studio, 2nd floor. My speakers has fallen down, my mixer, my screen, but they hadn't really fallen down to the floor. As a crazy musician, you have a lot of cabling, right? So they actually were saving themselves. I just needed to lift them all up and place on the table. And it's like, whew, that was good. And then the aftershocks keep happening. So I was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. Run out, boom, and I have to go out and find food. And they usually say during a big earthquake or something, the 7-Eleven or the Family Mart will have open for emergencies. So you should be able to go there and buy. I get to the convenience store and they're closed down. Okay, but I know I can go to the mini mart or whatever, and they're closed down too. Virtually, I have no food at home. I have maybe a small emergency kit that's maybe 2 pieces of instant ramen. That's all I got to live on. And then I was walking around for maybe 15 kilometers. Everything was closed down. The entire banking system were knocked out in this thing. So of course, if you cannot do transactions, you cannot have the store opens. So anyway, after you experience this horrific thing and plus the explosion of the nuclear power plant, my friend, the conspiracy theorist, is writing to me, "Oh, this is all United States doing. They were secret Project HARP and like what the?" And I said, I basically did not reply. Look at this, and I sent him a link, and I just shut up. And he said, "Oh, you sound a little bit angry now." Well, you don't understand what I've been going through. Whatever you're saying right here, that I shouldn't worry. Space aliens, they took out the radiation from the nuclear power plant, so your country's safe. What? I mean, it's just so messed up. He stresses me out more than anything else on this earth, but he's still my best friend. But this year, I told myself, I really need to have a talk with this guy. So when I go back this thing, I mean, when you go to a friend's house, I mean, you probably have the same philosophy as me. That person's home is his castle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I try to drag him out to neutral ground so we can talk outside. If not, then I'm gonna have to be afraid that he's gonna keep moving on with this thing, and he's into this strange ideas about what do you call a guy who's not really a doctor, but he says he can cure people? Homeopath?
Is it the holistic
Homeopathy?
No. Oh, yeah, homeopathology or something like that. Yeah.
Right. And I just think that's fucking dangerous. I mean, and he's doing many strange machines. He's putting people in them, and I'm not sure if they're paying him or not. I don't understand how he can live the way he lives, because he's basically unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still, I mean, that's the thing that the Swedish government is good at. We have good support systems for people who are looking for jobs and stuff like that. As long as you're looking for jobs, you are getting some kind of a safety net financially, but to the minimum living standards as possible. You should be able to pay your rent, your water, your gas, and a little bit of food and some clothes, stuff like that. But for him, it seems more like a lifestyle rather than, I mean, like trying to snap out of it and get a real job. I mean, that's, I just feel sorry for him when I meet him. I mean, even the strangest thing happened though. So he has all this technology. He's technically a doctor. Well, but of course he cannot say I cure cancer, I cure blah blah. Of course, you have been through this. I understand. I know your backstory, but he says I cannot say those things, and because I'm not technically a doctor. And I was like, wait, what is it? Which side of the coin are you trying to tell me what you are, right?
Yeah.
But then he himself got sick. So why don't you use the machine on yourself? That's what I wanted to tell him.
Yeah.
So he has diabetes, I think diabetes 2 or I think 2 or 3 or something. So they had to, his big toe on his right foot has died. They had to chop it off. Like, what the? I was like, man, aren't you seeing this right now? I mean, if you had those bad conditions, why aren't these things helping you? I mean, that's some of the things I'm afraid I will have to pull out of my card next time I meet him.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to tell him, that it's not healthy for him either,
Yeah.
to live this kind of lie or this strange reality. He even tells he's okay, now this, even I can go crazy for this guy, but I just want to say the last thing. He said, I'm a time warrior.
What?
Celestial warrior. He can dream. He can meet people he's never met before, and they can fight off the Illuminati together. And I mean, already here it's like, I mean, he's a sweet guy, but he has all these mass delusions somehow, and I don't know how I'm gonna take it next time. I mean, it's like speaking to a space alien or something like that. I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I mean, sure, that's a lot of come onto your show and talk about it, but
oh man, I'm just gonna be like
this guy. Yeah, exactly. I just right. Right. Yeah, I'm clammed up. I can just do the interjection. I see. Okay. Sure. So, I mean, that's the craziest thing. I mean, if everything he told would be a great idea for a computer game, he would. I mean, we already have time splitters. What else do we need, right? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And I mean, these at the beginning of this year, it's actually very interesting when we talk about people and new music projects. I thought I was going to have a project that was going to be involving me writing music for the Olympic Games 2020. The guy I was talking to, I will not mention his name because he's very private, but I can tell you he, like a lot of American jazz players, jazz legends, they actually find Japan to be very good with the jazz scene. So they actually move from the United States and they settle down in Japan. And this guy, he's played with all the big ones from the United States. I mean, he said he was a protege of Miles Davis. A
Really?
protege. Yeah. Miles Davis and Al Jarreau, they found him when he was like a teenager, older, and he didn't have like money to really go to university, but he took time to study music theory and all this stuff, and he reharmonized a lot of tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And he was found by Miles Davis and Al Jarreau, and they brought him under his wing to learn to play and
Wow.
tour with these guys out there. And now he lives in Japan since in the mid 1980s,
Mm-hmm.
1985 or something like that. He came here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the funny thing, he was on my friends list on Facebook, and we and this was right at the beginning. I started to do my Facebook streams when I'm writing music live, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, and I invited him because we had just common friends. I thought, well, oh, could be an interesting guy. Oh, he plays bass, nice. He didn't interact with me until 6 months later,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "We got to talk." Okay, all right. So we had this talk, and he is very serious, and I like serious musicians who see value in people, and that's fine and all that. And he said, "We should. I got something I would like you to do. We should work on something together." He said, and I was very humble when he told me who he was and who he's been involved with and who's been performing with.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out that he was like there were a lot of other bass players. If you're interested in the jazz world, Abram Laboriel and another guy right now. And he said, those people stole my licks, basically. So this guy knows basically everybody in the American jazz world, basically. But somehow we ended up in Japan, isolated. But he still works with people high up in the Japanese government, especially now people who are arranging the Olympic Games for the 2020. But when he heard me, he said, you could actually help me with this, and that's going to be great. But let's have a meeting. So we arranged a meeting, and then I came to his station, and when I met him, he said, and he was very blunt with me and said, okay, if I don't hear anything interesting out of your mouth in the next 20 minutes, I'm leaving. I mean, he was very straightforward, but I've taken the right to go all the way to his place. I'm not thinking I'm wasting my time here. So anyway, we're sitting down, and I told him about my philosophy about the music. He had the same philosophy, so that was pretty good. But he was also looking for a protege. He wanted me to. He wants to teach me. I mean, that's actually a very very nice honor to have that legend sitting right in front of you. But remember what they said. There's a saying: "Never meet your heroes." Yeah,
It's so true.
yeah. I mean, I met a few of them, and they've really been nice because I know every album they're making. I see them on media and stuff like that, and they're very easy to understand, and their personnel is very very nice. But when you hear about this guy who's living in the shadows, he's been playing bass in live Japanese shows, like cool. He has a lot of people in the industry here that could actually help me. We ended up talking for 2 hours. 2 hours. Okay, and that's pretty good impression.
Yeah.
And I just felt kind of happy because we're sitting outside in Starbucks, and I went in and I bought like a small cocoa, and I was sitting, but and I didn't recall on this until later, but just maybe about an hour into our conversation, a young Japanese couple sitting down next to us, and they said, you guys are musicians? In English. I was like, yeah, I'm a music producer. And he said, we're partners. Like, wait a minute, we haven't even decided anything yet here. But he did tell me right before we started, he said, I have a mild case of Asperger's and a bipolar disorder. Like, but since I'm the guy who can kind of neutralize his personality stay on level, I didn't think there would be any problem, right? So I thought he was really honest with me. And he said, yeah, this is our first meeting together, but we're partners. And I was like, no, no. In my head, I'm screaming, no, no, we haven't decided anything yet, right? So anyway, so we were talking with them, and this couple, they actually had really good music. I mean, imagine the White Stripes, but 10 times better and heavier and more tight.
Wow.
They were freaking amazing, this couple. And right now, I'm the only person in contact with them because of the story. So they actually living in the area, and so does he.
Mm.
And after that, I said, okay, nice meeting you, bro. I got to go back home. Blah, blah, blah. All right, I'll call you, bro. That's what he said to me. Yeah, why am I doing the bro thing? That's but I mean, that's what it felt like. Even though he's like in his 60s, I'm in my 30s. So yeah, double the experience. And you think, oh, this is a respected guy. I try to look up more of his stuff on the internet and listen to him. And man, he's damn good. He is really, really good. And especially his performance with Al Jarreau at the uh, Montreal Jazz Festival. That's classic from 1986, and they played Spain. And I analyzed the entire video. Actually, he told me I should analyze what he's doing on the stage and what his job as a bass player is. And then just 2 days later, I think this was a Tuesday, I get a phone call from him. And he said, yeah, my wife told me I should call you to let you know that you're in the loop. I was like, wait a minute. If we're partners, you should call me automatically. Your wife should not tell me. So I started to get a warning flag right in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
But he told me, okay, so that couple we met at the Starbucks. Let me get that. I'm going to help them buy a music computer, he said. And I'm going to set it up for them so they have a music computer so they can start writing ideas, and then we can start working with that. And I said, okay, cool. I wish you guys good luck. Find the computer and the software and all this stuff. Yeah, no problem. I got everything. And then 8 p.m., I get a phone call or like a video call from the Japanese couple, and they're freaking out. His personality totally changed from happy chipper guy to super serious, pissed off old man. And from that day, I was like, okay, if he's scaring away our clients, I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So, and no matter what I was doing, for a whole 1 or 2 weeks, he left really bad things on my Facebook. I wanted to block him, but I don't really want to because I don't want to look like the bigger asshole. But so he basically went back into the mentality of a child. He was just screaming, screaming, screaming. You asshole! You lost a chance. Blah blah blah. I'm better than you. You never beat me. But I mean, he has like delusions of grandeur. This guy. But then I had a flashback. Was he honest with me? Really? Everything he said, was he really true? Then I realized, I'm flashing back to that meeting outside Starbucks. He didn't drink coffee. He didn't drink anything from the store. He was drinking something from a plastic bag. And of course, I want to think the best about people. The first time I meet them, they will have a good time to represent themselves.
Yeah.
But then I realized he spilled out some liquid, and it was not water. So he was drinking liquor right in front of my face. And combine that with his Asperger's and bipolar disorder, no wonder he was losing his fucking mind. Plus, I heard from the Japanese couple, they said he didn't want us to pay for the computer. They just wanted us to bring him alcohol. And I was like, what? Okay, I'm pulling the plug on this one. I mean, I had such a great opportunity if the guy was really honest with me, but from the first moment I met him, I realized I was deceived from the get-go. If I could have worked with him, I would have probably got some more music work involving other areas of the Japanese industry for sure. But to know that what he's doing right now, I don't want to, I mean, as long as you are, I mean, that's the thing. If you're in an area like Japan where mouth the word of mouth is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
It will spread fast. If you lost your client or anything like that, that will set off warning signals that if you hear my name or blah, 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 that guy's name, oh, we're blacklisting them right away. So I pulled out. I didn't want to say that. But yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, for the first time, I actually pulled out of a deal that was too good to be true. But I don't know how my wife smells the bullshit from a mile away. I just didn't get it. She was not even in the same room, but she already knew that he was bad news. Female intuition. I wish I had it, man.
You probably had to tell her like 2 lines of a sentence, and she's like, "Nope, you're not doing that."
Yeah, it sucks when people are not really straight with you. But I mean, that's why I'm so happy that I met you, because you've done so much within a year, and it's like, I wonder if I'm going to be a regular on a show, and now it's been a year, and boom, I'm back. And yeah, I mean, I'm so happy what you've accomplished. I'm happy to be on your journey. I'm happy to see where you've been, and hope be part of your life. That's actually very rewarding to me to see that you're. I mean, I saw you from the beginning. You had nothing, and then you moved to a house, and boom! Look at all the stuff behind you now. All those boxes, and you're doing reviews. You're getting review copies. You get to enjoy a lot of cool stuff before even other people get to enjoy it. I mean, that is one of your dreams come true, and I'm really happy that you get to do what you do. And yeah, it's really nice to be on the show as well.
I mean, you know, like when I stopped and I think back a year, you know, you were the 3rd professional interview I ever had. 3rd or 4th.
Oh, wow. I was right in the beginning. Huh?
3rd or 4th. 3rd or 4th, because I think, the first one was Dorothy Fawn. Oh, Griffin Burns and Dorothy Fawn. Then
Cody guy was before me, right?
Cody, yeah. Right before you, it was Cody. Then it was you, and then after you, I had Richard Epcar, and then it just pedal to the metal.
Exploded.
Yeah, literally. To the point now, like, I don't like I still reach out to people for interviews, but it's like if I just casually start talking to someone, it's like, oh, I heard about your podcast from such and such, and I'm friends with them, and it's crazy. Like within 1 year, you know, it's exactly like you said. I went from nothing. I had nothing to now it's like, whoa, I got flown to E3. I'm invited to this. Like next month, I'm going to Hawaii Con, and I'm gonna be on a panel with a bunch of actors and voice actors, and I'm doing. They're gonna stream it live, and I'm like, this is gonna be on TV. They're like, yeah, it's gonna be on national TV, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy right after. I mean, yeah, we had this interview, about a year ago, exactly like in August. I think right after Combo Breaker.
Yeah.
Combo Breaker happened around this time. So yeah, it's exactly a year.
Yeah.
I believe this is exactly like a year ago. And then I remember I went to, actually, I'm going to do this year as well. I'm going to Toyama Prefecture at the end of the month, and I'll be teaching robotics engineers. And that's when I got an email from, of all places, for Sweden Game Convention. And that takes place in my hometown, in my shitty little Swedish country. Skovde, of all places. That, like, think Sweden, Detroit City. You know, it's like,
whoa,
we make the car engine, we make the Volvo, the main drivetrains for our trucks and stuff like that. So it's a very industrial town. But what I was so surprised that the university in my town is international, yes. But I left Sweden in 2005. But back in 2007, 2 years later, they started a game development-based university that includes programming, animation, graphic design, game psychology, sound design, and music, all cramped into my shitty little town of all places. I don't get it, because I told people right before I left, the gaming industry, the software industry will be one of the industries that are going to help people get jobs
Yeah.
by doing everything from scratch. There's like, we don't need wood, we don't need any metal or anything. It's like, yes, produce software will be the biggest thing. And I think I said that already in the beginning of the year 2000 or something like that. But no one in my town was believing that making a computer game company or software company would be a viable way to go. But here they are now, 2018 at the end of August. And the thing was that I was in Sweden in April the very same year, and I did a talk at the university about writing music for the Japanese gaming industry and all that stuff. But now they wanted me to come for the Swedish Game Convention, which is like Tokyo Game Show or E3, but much smaller. It's just one basketball court big, you know, and a few side courts on the side for like presentations and stuff like that. But they said, yeah, you were in our hometown in April, and we heard that you were doing music with the Japanese. Would you like to come and do a presentation and a workshop? I was like, yeah, sure. I never done a workshop. I didn't say this, but I never done a workshop before. But I actually laid the foundation for what I would say my challenging Twitter post that I put up. You decide what I'm going to do, and I will try to fulfill it. So I had that kind of interaction with the audience for 3 hours, and the goal was here to make a piece ready for to present to clients as your first draft. So so I had 2 days, so 6 hours to do this. But I mean, before I even started here, a lot of people said this is going to be impossible. Sure, you're going to write a whole song in 3 hours? Of course I did it. You know, that's what I was trained to do. But then the next day, I mean, that was the craziest thing. The next day, I did 2 songs in 3 hours for different game genres. I was like, shit, I broke my own record. I had no idea. So that was quite a success. But how I got that thing was even more bizarre. I mean, they said the previous speaker we had, I guess he was the composer for World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And he couldn't make it this year. And he was there the previous year as well. So now they emergency called and said, hey, we have this guy in Japan, and a Swedish guy too, but let's see what he can do. And after doing that, I actually got really good feedback from the session. I think you can actually see my my workshop online on YouTube, actually. And I wonder if it's there on YouTube. Can I just check it?
Yeah,
And maybe later
ahead.
I can mail it for you.
Yeah.
Sweden Game Conference 2018 music workshop. Boom, 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 boom. Oh yeah, composing in a flow state. No templates, no plans, just feeling. That was the title of my talks here. So I'm just gonna drop it into your chat. The link. So I have 2 of them. I guess this is the first one. Where's the chat? Oh, over here. Open chat. Oh man, the Facebook thingy has changed a lot. There you go. There's the link for you.
Okay.
All
I
right.
got it.
So that's part 1, and I think there's another part 1. So just look for the second one. But so there you will have about 3 hours, 6 hours worth of workshop for what we did. So if anyone is interested to see that, yeah, just Mekel will have the link for you.
Yep. Definitely. I'll leave it in the description, the video and the podcast. So make sure you guys definitely check that out.
So that was what happened over a year ago. So I'm glad a lot of things have come to fruition from that. But yeah, and I mean, the most fun thing was, of course, when you introduced me to the Fallen Civil Broad guy. I mean, there were 2 other projects that looked really interesting, and one of them has, but still, actually, now there's a thing. The guy that I know, he's been doing a lot of work, pulling work for Sega and Capcom and all these things. But he's actually living in New York. But he told me he knows all the stuff that's going around, especially when it comes to pixel art and animation. And he says a lot of the game developer, and he looked at the Fallen City Brawl animation. Oh, they just stole some sprites from King of Fighters and just painted it over, and everybody's using the same run animation. 85%. If I take those and line them up, they're the same guy. Like, so he knows pretty much about stock, or when people are copying, obvious when people are not putting effort in it. And there was this other 3D fighter that looks like Streets of Rage, but it's a side scroller but with 3D assets. And he said, yeah, those are just stock characters, stock animations. And it's like, I think it took a fight in a subway with dynamic lighting and stuff like that.
Was it
man, I forgot the name of that game, but it's an indie fighting game.
I think I have it on my Switch. Keep talking. I'm gonna pull it up because I think
okay.
I think I know what it is. It's why do I have to have so many games on here?
Yeah, I haven't gotten a Switch yet, but I'm thinking I might get one soon, but maybe I'm out of the race already. I mean, I would love to buy just for the Doom game. Yes.
I'm getting close. Is it something Justice? Because it's got 3D assets and Raging Justice?
Let me see if I pull it up on Twitter here.
It's so funny. People were praising that game. I absolutely hate it.
Raging Justice. Oh, sorry.
The company's probably going to be like, Mekel, we're never going to sing you a game again. You say you hate it. There are some games that I get that they have a really good premise, and then I play it and it's absolutely horrible. And people will be like, oh, where's your review? There's not going to be one.
Right. I'm looking at the, oh yeah, no, this is not the game. That looks like 3D assets then printed into 2D. No, this is not the game. But yeah, I agree. It looks too choppy.
Yeah.
Now it's a game that's in production right now, so it's not released or anything. But oh man, that looks very choppy. I mean, it's a cool idea, cool design concept, but it's like lacking frame or smoothness.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Oh wow, was that like a Resident Evil zombie cop or whatever? A pimp? Oh man, okay, no, I'm not gonna watch that anymore. Anyways, it was like a game I think was made in like Unreal Engine or something like that. It was all 3D assets, and my friend said actually a lot of people I work with are actually developers of the engine, he said. And I know those are stock characters that they just thrown in to make a fighting game out of. So I mean, that's another thing. I start to question myself when I look at independent game developers, and if I'm not doing my research, I can never spot if it's like the default animations or default assets that no one is tweaking them. You know, what would you call it? Like a lot of people are criticizing a lot of game developers for asset flipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the game you just showed there, that actually looked like original assets, though. That is pretty cool looking assets. But as you said, yeah, the animation or the execution, printing the 3D into the 2D is an interesting concept. But yeah, it just doesn't work with the rest of the graphics. There's kind of a disconnect with that. I agree.
I don't know if you've seen the game Gekiro.
Gekiro?
Is it or is it Gekido Kintaro's Revenge? Like when I first played that, because it originally came out in 2002, and then they re-released it last year on the Switch and the PS4 and Xbox One. I mean, it's a very fun brawler, but I'm looking at the game. I'm like, you completely lifted so many assets from King of Fighters, and it's
Exactly.
it's to a point. Like I'm like, I can tell what attack is what. Like the uppercut is that's Kate Ash's flaming uppercut, and then the spin kick that's whose kick is that? That's Terry Bogarts' guard break attack, and I'm like
Right.
looking at that. I think I mentioned it in my review, and I had a lot of criticism from people saying like, "Oh, well, nobody would notice that." I'm like, probably a lot of people would notice
Well,
it.
a lot of people who play King of Fighters notice that. Yeah. So now I'm really, as I said, so maybe having that little break from it. I mean, it could be good for people to analyze the amount of frames for that kind of animation, but they should still come up with something that doesn't look similar.
Yeah.
So I think now when people are, as I said, when I was looking at the Fallen City Brawl, and my friends are, oh, those are King of Fighters basic animations. Even Joe Hisashi's kicking the bag animation in one of his clips. Yeah, that's definitely Joe Hisashi.
Hmm.
So maybe he will redo the assets later on. These are just placeholders or something. I hope so. Otherwise, I like all of his ideas, the breakable sets and all that stuff. I mean, those nice little things. I even pitched an idea to him um, that would have an audio work. Maybe there will be two soundtracks, one that's cinematic and one that it's more like Streets of Rage, like a OST,
Hmm.
but have a dynamic soundtrack. But then I was like, maybe he said no, we just gonna have one soundtrack through the entire thing. But then I thought, how about an Easter egg if you're in the gym? And I think if you make two speakers, if you knock off the left speaker, only the right channel is, you can only hear the right channel of the music. Or if you break the stereo, the music go into like action movie cinematic kind of fighting music, and then
Hmm.
you get out of that way. So if anything breaks or something disappears, you would only hear left or right channel of the stereo until you break it. That was something I pitched to him about it,
That's dope, though.
and
I
I
would love
thought
to
that would
see
be a
that.
really cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as now, I don't know if I'm involved in the project for now. As I said, it's on ice on my end for now. But yeah. Well, let's see what happens. I mean, I think he has a very nice, like bringing the. I mean, I like the way he's doing the Neo Geo zooms.
Hmm.
I really like his take on the character getting out right up into your face approach to it. I think it's going to be a really cool game if you manage to pull off uh, all the assets into a new direction, not make it so obvious.
Yeah.
So then I think we have definitely a hit on his hands for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
And you know, that's one of the things. Like, you know, you mentioned like not knowing if you're part of a project anymore or if the project's on
mm,
ice. I mean, and I've been running to that a lot lately too with a lot of different companies. I mean, from uh, Bitrix. I don't know if you've been made aware of like that whole debacle with their previous CEO.
Beatrix, I'm actually not so familiar with it.
They make
Yeah, I mean that's a craziest thing. The last year, I've barely been touching on any new games or developers since I'm stuck doing. Well, I'm not saying I'm stuck with Street Fighter Five. I'm happy for it. Uh, but yeah, it's like, but there I'm writing to specs. I don't really get to. I mean, sure, I do get to write 80-90% of the music the way that I want it to be, and maybe 10% input from the company. But I do feel that independent games has so much more. They can really make a game stand out
Yeah.
because it's pure creativity. It's like every person has an idea that they want to execute and put it into the game. And for me, I would really like to write a soundtrack top to bottom for one game. I mean, I remember this walking simulator was called you're like there was like no communication in the game, but you're walking through this desert. Journey, Journey.
Yeah.
And man, the music really carried the entire game basically.
Yep.
Together with the audio cues for simple communication with other players, and it was just so beautiful. And now you have the game that was supposed to be an independent game, Ori and the Black Forest. No, Ori and the Blind Forest. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's start off as an independent game, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Really beautiful to see. But now they've done a part 2. But then you think, well, now they're not really independent anymore. If another company is seeing it done, so now, I mean, that's the thing. I really find it sad when, like, now we are like, I wrote a tweet the other day talking why I haven't bought a single Electronic Arts game since 2005. Hashtag microtransactions. You know, it's just killing the industry. I mean, Angry Joe and the other Joe, they were like, okay, we're gonna play NFL Madden 2019, and they were comparing it. It's the same fucking game.
Yeah.
I want to create a new character. Oh, I only got 4 faces. Oh, in the old game, same 4 faces. It's so cheap. Man, they just slap another name onto it and just change around the rosters, and that's it. They do the absolute bare minimum, and I think EA, I mean, I wanted to do something like, I mean, I know they're the big, I don't know if I'm going to say it on your show, but
You can say it. There's no filter.
Okay, all right. They're the big band. I mean, they used to be a really good company. I mean, I really loved, okay, before we had scandal with Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods Golf 99 was fantastic for me. Great presentation, great music, and the commentary. It's just a good atmosphere. But then after 2002, I think the last game I bought was the Japan-South Korea Soccer World Championship. It was a great looking game for the time, and I was just blown away. But after that, I didn't get a PlayStation 2. I didn't have a console until I moved to Japan. All right. But it's like around 2012. Now, that's when a DLC really started to take off.
Yeah.
And DLC as content that should not be locked away on a disc, I think was horrendous. And I know that Capcom was, well, they were kind of part of that because they didn't know how much information they could put on the disc to have that as a thing. So there was more like a file that accessed the thing from the internet so they can download it to the hard drive. So I think people were not getting familiar with the technology, and I think it was like in its infancy in 2012, the DLC.
Yeah.
But man, a lot of companies got a lot of hate for that. But at least it was optional. I mean, you don't have to buy it if you need to succeed. You can still clear up the game with what you've got. Anything else is just a bonus, and I think games should be that way.
Yeah.
But every time I look at EA, I mean, how much more can they mess up games that on paper look really good, like Battlefront 2? I mean, Swedish-made Star Wars game. And yeah, okay, let's put microtransactions in. You have to buy those guns. You have to buy those characters. It just doesn't make me want to play the game if I have to pay to win. So basically, since 2005, I haven't bought any Electronic Arts games. I swear, I've never touched any Electronic Arts games since 2005, and I feel happy about it. I only buy secondhand though. We don't need to have online DRM to play. I mean, I mean, it's, and that's the thing. What was it? You always had to be online for a one-player game, which is also really, really weird. But at least now they have to live up to a different game company. As I said earlier, CD Projekt Red, they're doing everything completely right at this point.
You know, speaking of CD Projekt Red, like you look at The Witcher 3 as a base game, like just your $60 for that. That game, that's hundreds of hours right there. If you do everything.
Exactly.
and then each of the 2 DLCs is like a whole full game. So I don't understand why other companies are not taking that approach. I mean, I know in the sense of profitability, they're looking at the short game, not the long game of how they can just make money up front. But you look at CD Projekt Red and you look at how they did The Witcher 3. That came out 2015.
Yeah.
And it's been what, 4 years now since that came out,
and it still looks great, man.
Yeah,
it looks nice.
It's like that's the model, and that's why I'm looking forward to Cyberpunk 2027.
Yeah, 2097. Keanu Reeves. When he stepped out of there, oh, you're breathtaking. Yeah, you too. I knew they that was just the best sales pitch they could ever have, was to get in the audience just going off, and you get a free game and pre-order bonuses straight out of the box. I mean, that's so sweet of them. I mean, Polish game developers have really putting the pressure on American developers for sure. I mean, it was like in the early 2000s. That's, I think, Polish game developers starting to get the new tech. I mean, they usually, if you compare Sweden to Poland, Sweden was really ahead of the curve at the time. We had Digital Illusions, who then became DICE in their infancy. But already before the year 2000, they already released three or four games, 3 pinball games, and then Battlefield 1942 before the year 2000. So, I mean, that was, and the Polish developer was just getting out of that demo stage and then start developing, because there are a lot of great programs in Poland and great artistry, but financially, Poland has been kind of a cheap country. I mean, it would be like the China of Europe. I mean, if you want something made cheap, you go to Poland. I
didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, it was really like, they were like, oh, you don't want any Russian car? We'll take it. We'll buff it up for you. You know, like, they're really good at recycling and stuff like that. I mean, and I think really at the first Witcher game, their first hit, I think from all what they've learned and being really good on the software side, I think what really sets them apart from other game developers now, they're not hunting for the money. They want to give you an experience, and they just want to be done, get the product with at least amount of bugs as possible, and then ship it out. And and that shows really the high standard they're living up to. Even though Poland used to be a very poor country, be able to produce something that awesome that is now Cyberpunk 2090. And I don't know how they got Keanu Reeves on board. That's the thing that still blows my mind. I think Sweden, I think the only Hollywood actor we managed to get for a movie was Mark Hamill playing a terrorist in a Swedish action movie called Commander Hamilton. What are you expecting to do? Swim out of here? I mean, that's Mark Hamill is a nice guy. I mean, he's like a quarter Swede. His grandmother, I think, is from Gothenburg, and his father is American. So, grew up in New York, I guess, but he moved to Japan and he studied in Yokohama College, I guess, in his young years. So, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I had no idea that he was studying in Yokohama. So, yeah. Following his footsteps, I guess. Yeah, if there's one more thing I would like to really get into this year besides music, and I mean, I've been doing sound design as a hobby. Like you saw my Street Fighter 2 remix of putting it all together. The last thing I would like to do is to be doing voice acting. And yeah, a lot of musicians are voice actors. I mean, what really blew my mind was when I saw Metal Gear Solid 2. What is Sons of the Patriots? No.
No, yeah, you're right. Sons of the Patriots.
Yeah, Sons of the Patriots, right? I think it was Stephen Bloom.
Sons of Liberty.
Sons of Liberty.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. We were thinking the same way, but in the wrong way. So yeah, when I was reading up about these actors, and I realized, wow, to be good at doing these dubs, because first of all, they get the Japanese dub, and the match lip syncing is in Japanese, and they said to get that down, it's good to have a musical background because you have to have a certain rhythm to it, and then try to disregard the Japanese but still be able to hit your mark. That's really really tough, they said. But it helps if you have a musical background. So I was like, well, I love making voices. I love to mimic. I mean, I do some really bad Keanu Reeves impressions. I'm not going to do it right here. But and that's the thing. Yeah. So I really hope within this year, I'll probably do some kind of voice acting gig as well for some game voiceover. But man, as if you said, King of Fighters, yeah, that would be awesome if there was a way for me to get in there. So yeah, that would be cool. But I mean, it's funny because SNK has a lot of Swedish King of Fighters characters, but none of them are speaking Swedish, right?
Yeah.
The team Orochi team, there are two Swedish guys in the team, Chris and the tall dude.
Yoshiro or something, yeah?
Yoshiro, yeah. They're Swedish. Like, what the hell with the Japanese names? Give them something. Anderson John or something like that. But then, of course, the biggest Swede of all time right now is probably in Tekken. That's Lars Alexandersson.
And he doesn't even speak.
He doesn't speak Swedish or English. All in Japanese. But they tell him, oh, this guy's half Swedish, half Japanese, but he grew up in Sweden in the Marine Force or whatever. Some shit like that. It's like, man, I would love to dub that guy, especially when he flicks up his cell phone and he calls for support or something. That would be really cool for him to say something in Swedish like, you need an ambulance? Kan du skicka hit en ambulans? That would be so funny to do, you know. It's like, yeah. Skicka medisk hjälp. Send a medic, you know. It's like, yeah. So, I mean, there's so much talent here in Japan. It's crazy. We have so much international talent, but a lot of as developers, I'm not sure if they're looking into it. They just think, oh, that's a cool looking dude, or that's a cool looking design. But yeah, I do hear the Street Fighter 5, aka Aryan Fighter 5. There's just so many blonde hair, and blue eyes. It's like, and I played Final Fight the other day, and their code is brown hair, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they should have kept the brown hair for him to really make him stand out. But I have no idea why it happens. Even my friend, the guy from New York who's doing all these previs and selling fighting game concepts, he said that, yeah, I mean, Japanese developers, they don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to get to look Western, blonde hair, blue eyes, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just like trying to see other characters they actually presented really good. I mean, the ninja in Tekken 5, 6, who's basically Wesley Snipes' character.
What is his name? Raven.
Raven. Right?
Yeah. He's basically Blade.
Blade, basically, yeah. I really love that design. It's really cool. And then you look at like other nationals, like Middle Eastern characters. I mean, we don't have many of those. But of course, what happened to Samoan characters? I don't know many Samoan. I mean, The Rock would be perfect for some kind of roided up Street Fighter dude for some reason. Maybe he can play Abigail if they do the do the Samoan drop or some stuff like that. Oh man, it's so weird that, I mean, Street Fighter was supposed to be a world fighting game, but they kind of rely only on like 3 or 4 countries. It's like, not so much diversity. But now when you look at the roster of Street Fighter 5, we got Brazil, United States, Japan, India, obviously, former Russia. I'm still not Zangief, I'm, you know, but nothing from Germany, nothing from, like, there's big parts of Europe that is still missing.
Yeah.
Dudley, of course, is from the UK. Oh, come here, let's play with Queensberry rules. I mean, I mean, there's Cammy's sure is English, but technically Scottish. In the
Yeah.
first game, she's from Scotland.
She's from Scotland.
Yeah, but she doesn't have any Scottish accent or whatever. MI6. No, she's Interpol. Yeah. Um, China, obvious, Chun-Li. I mean, I'm still waiting for Fei Long. I really want Fei Long in there.
And see, and I think that's the thing that I've always liked SNK more for, is because with King of Fighters, they literally represent every, or close enough to every country. Like, you have so much diversity in King of Fighters characters that it kind of makes a lot of Street Fighter characters feel shallow in a way. There's so much backstory, designs.
Yeah, I mean, playing from 94 to 99, or actually technically 95 to 98.
Yeah.
That's like a complete story arc that completes the Orochi saga, right?
Yeah.
And then see the new cast being dropped down and like, oh, what's their story? Why are they here? And of course, King of Fighters 97, when the new face team, of course, with a Swedish kid who become a god, basically. I was like, why is Swedish guy become a god? That's fine. That's so funny. I mean, the reason that he managed to put the people into the game, I mean, that fascinated me as a teenager. But then you always have that guy, and like before we even had the internet, who's read about everything. And we only have one of King of Fighters machine in the city, in the rental store. And he's like, oh, did you know that this character is this and this and this? And he gives so much information that I'm not concentrating on the game anymore. And he's this fanatic. That's he's like a disease. He's a walking disease. Like, I can't get rid of him like gum. I just want to play the fucking game. Like, I mean, sometimes I think, I mean, people are fascinated with one aspect of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely this guy. He knew every character, but he sucked at the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I always make it, okay, he want to fight me, I'm gonna take him up, and then he leaves, and like, okay, now I can enjoy the game again. So yeah, I played more King of Fighters than yeah, I mean, we only had, technically I finished playing Street Fighter at Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the CPS2 cabinet, and after that they changed out the entire cabinet with a Neo Geo cabinet instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I missed out on playing the arcade version of Street Fighter 3 First Strike, Second
Impact,
and Third Strike. What was it? First game was just Street Fighter 3, right?
Yeah.
You had no subtitle, right? Yeah.
Or I think
I missed out on that entire thing.
Was it? Or was it a New Generation?
Oh, the New Generation. You're correct. That's the first game. The New Generation, Second Impact, Third Strike.
Yeah.
But I missed all those games. So I came back in Street Fighter 4 when I just bought a new laptop. And oh, wow, they're releasing it for PC. Fantastic. I'm going to try it. But it was more like an offline experience for me. But then I finally got a PS3, and I had a Spanish dude who I helped him write music, and he was a Street Fighter fanatic, and he just kicked my ass online all the time. But he lived in Tokyo, though, so we did have a pretty good connection with each other. But I just gave up because, of course, he had more time to practice, and I was not in my game. And it's like, all right, now Street Fighter 5 is out, and I'm too late to really enjoy or get good at the game, because all the people I know, I am not that good. I mean, I was just looking at, I mean, about the latest thing. What was it? It was Evo, right?
Yeah.
Evo was the last tournament, and that leak that happened where poor Ono-san. Oh man, my heart sank really hard. when I found, wow, they released the video already. I mean, that's a big fatal mistake, and I'm not sure who's responsible. But if I had to put my blame, it would be Steam. I mean,
Yeah.
they they should be like, yeah, you have the game here, but don't put it up until this date, this time.
Because they didn't they do the same thing with Kage? Because well, I don't think it like earlier that day. I believe leaks were coming out from the Steam version.
Oh man.
So it's like I think the whole idea, because I know they want to be like, oh, it's available now as a surprise. Like, don't push it live on the server.
Right. Yeah, so that moment of getting another kind of Cody moment for me was ruined just
Yeah.
because of that, because I really wanted to have seen the audience reaction to all the three characters. I mean, I think that the character I was most afraid of to cut the flack was obviously Honda, because he's such a beloved character, and I
Mhm.
just didn't want to mess up. When they played the music in the trailer, yeah, they chopped it up in different sections, but then reading underneath, and now people have been uploading the music on their own little YouTube channels out there, and the response is good. So I'm really happy that I didn't fluke this one either. But yeah, I'm just hope I get a great phone call in the next few months. I mean, hey, you're going to work on season 5. I was like, that haven't happened yet, but I'm expecting it by this point, because now I've been writing almost 50% of all the DLC since season 2. So that is kind of,
That's
even thought I
amazing.
should not expect it, but that's it seems like Capcom relying on me to pull up the heavy stops when
Yeah.
required. So yeah, I'm just glad they're coming back to me. But if they keep doing this, I really would like to ask them, hey, don't you think it would be better if I work for you guys full time?
Yeah.
If so, I would do it. Or if the other company might come to me first, like as I said, Bandai Namco, or even SNK would be great. But then I start to look at it like, okay, SNK, how often do they produce a fighting game?
Mhm.
Like one game per year? If that's the case, then we're in the clear, because they're a yearly, like King of Fighters 2019 should be the next game, right? No,
Yeah.
2000 or
2000. I think it's 2020. It's the next one.
2020,
Yeah.
right? So XX, yeah,
Yeah.
what's gonna be? Uh, so they actually have like a steady stream of work for that just one game every year. So that's pretty cool. So new music, a few new characters and new stages, and I kind of like the idea that we'd be occupied with that entire game for a whole year and then release it and start working on the next one.
Mhm.
I mean, sure, I would like to work for Bandai Namco as well, but then you look at their output. Tekken game is only Tekken 7 for this generation on PlayStation 4, right?
Mhm.
Nothing else. And that means, what else are they doing?
Soul
Only
Calibur at most.
Soul Calibur and Ace Combat, but that's still only one game this generation, I think.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's all the anime games they make, but then all that is using already licensed music that they have from their shows. But yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So for original music content, I think the jobs are far and few between. And then,
Yeah.
and Capcom obviously has a lot of licenses left. And as you said, what if they pull up another Final Fight game? That would be awesome if they do that. But I would like it to be in traditional pixel form or hand drawn, not 3D. I mean, they tried to do it, and that turned into a nightmare with Final Fight, Streetwise,
Yeah.
and then they had another one called Knockdown or Beatdown. The Beatdown, I think.
Yeah.
They wanted to be the new Final Fight, but it just didn't feel like a Final Fight game. It was just, it felt more like a GTA clone without the cars. You just go around punching people. You know, it's like, but Namco had a really good one. I really liked a lot. But it
Urban
was more
Rain.
like a round-based fighter, Urban Rain,
Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, that was great music, kick-ass characters, and unlocking Law and Paul Phoenix. It's the best feeling to go around and do dragon punches on, like charge punch and throw the people into the obstacles all around the course. Great. I mean, I wish they could re-release that up the quality on the HD. I mean, the game really plays good because they're using just the Tekken 4, Tekken 5 animations in that game.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it had so much replay value, and I think that's if the game really should do. I mean, that's what Street Fighter and Tekken is doing, replay value. But I think when we started, I think Tekken 3 was the ultimate replay value. Oh, I finished the game with this character. Oh, a new character unlocked. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this again, for another 15 times, and then I have a huge roster of characters. And it's just so fun to have something new to play. And of course, Dr. Boskanovich. The creepy crawly.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was some old memories, but that means we're getting old. But that was 1996.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. First Tekken 94, then Tekken 2 95. 96 really changed Tekken to what I really loved about the production. The music was up high in that game. Everything after Tekken 3 is just, besides this side note of Tekken 4, that was kind of a little bit disappointing, but it was a cool concept. I mean, why not fight in an office building and see paper fly up or stuff like that? I mean, it was some of the concept they had, but they couldn't realize it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would be fantastic. I mean, look at, take the game and the engine from Max Payne 3 and put Tekken characters in and have them fight out in this office space where there used to be a shootout, see all the paper fly and things fall over dynamically. I mean, I would love to play Max Payne 3 again, if I have to be honest, because that's such a good production. You played it, Max Payne 3?
Yep. I loved it. That game is really, really good. It's another company that does really well is Rockstar. Like, man.
But it's sure sad to see what's happened with the outsourcing department like Bandai Entertainment and their, what was it? Their detective game, LA Noire.
Yeah.
I really liked it, but I just felt something was missing. And then you realize it's one guy responsible for all the NPC animations of just people walking down the street, and they had no manpower. It just feels a little bit empty, but I love the story. Love the story, but it's so sad to see a company like Bandai be so mishandled by the director who used to be Rockstar North, or he used to be one of the first people at DMA Design, I think, in the UK. He just went crazy, I think. And the game could have been good if they had the right people, but then to know that they had to bring in people to redo the code, and they never even seen the previous code. I mean, it's just crazy when you think about it. And I saw the documentary about the game the other day, but man, if we could have a Max Payne 3 with, or similar to Max Payne, with solid detective work, interrogation, and put it in the 80s like Miami Vice, man, that would be the best game ever, I think. And then guest star Lucia into the fray there with her music. Yeah, I mean, that was also a very fun thing. Besides the character theme of Lucia, now we're coming back to that, was to do her story mode music as well throughout the thing. And especially when arcing back to when they talk about, what is it? Hager is talking about the Mad Gear Gang in the beginning and the music playing there. I thought, what if Final Fight sounded like this back in the 80s or early 90s? And I was happy to have that industrial chain metal clank stuff going on in the music there in a very somber mood. I really love doing all those little nods. And it was also something I realized when Lucia is meeting Cody at the pier just after Seku zooms away in the background, right? And you listen for the bass line. It's just like... And I forgot I even did that. I think it was just raw instinct. I didn't notice that I did a Final Fight bass line in that. I just realized later, holy shit, that's Final Fight. From the first level, the slums, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But I did it in such a different way. It was just, I had, yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes I write music. It just happened per automata. I mean, and that's the thing. Um, Doing the cutscenes here for Lucia's story, I basically had no complaints whatsoever.
Wow.
So that was maybe just the ending of Lucia when her noodles are overcooked. That I decided let's have a little bit more Beverly Hills Cop, Faltermeyer-ish kind of ending to her arc there.
Mm.
And so it kind of worked out kind of in a fun comedy way there. But that also comedy, unintended comedy. When you play through G Story and you, Menat is coming into the picture. Do you remember that sequence?
Yeah, I do.
And she speaks to the shadow of Rose,
Rose.
I guess.
Yep.
But then suddenly you hear that trumpet, meow, meow,
I
meow.
know.
It's like, no, this sounds like Snoopy's teacher. And it was not intentional. I just thought, it's just to represent that she got beaten by G, obviously.
hmm
But the way she's placed and she's not saying anything at the moment, it sounds like Rose is now in the world of Snoopy, and that was not intentional. It just, for now, when I'm looking at it, oh, wow, that's really funny. But that was not the case. But,
Yeah.
now when people say, oh, that's like Snoopy's teacher or something, wah, 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 wah. I thought, okay, all right, I have to call that a stroke of genius, maybe. I mean, it's crazy that Rose is in the game, but she actually hasn't said
A
a
word.
single line.
Yeah.
And of course, that's another character that's maybe on the table as well. I mean,
I hope so. She's pivotal to Bison's plot too.
right. His story should conclude here in Street Fighter V, right?
Yeah.
His story.
And
Maybe that is the big finale. Maybe she's the last character in season 5. I don't know, but
because they need to somehow bridge. Because I mean, from how they've done 5, it doesn't really bridge into 3.
right.
So
Yeah, at the moment it doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Because Rose is missing.
Yeah.
But they've teased her so many times now.
Way too many times.
So, and as you said, if she's the conclusion to the Bison story, she might be the last character. But yeah, I had a hard time playing as Rose in Street Fighter 4. I just find her very difficult to deal with. But maybe that's good. Maybe that's exactly what could put Bison in his place and then destroy him, and then let's go on with the Street Fighter 3 plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much speculation, and right now, since I'm not involved in any current Capcom related stuff, I think I've earned the right to do some speculation for sure. Yeah. It's kind of nice. Sometimes when you're under contract and you're involved and you cannot say anything at the moment.
Yep.
But now today to say that no, right now I'm not under any projects. To be able to freely speculate, that is kind of the part of the fun of a discussion too, as well.
Definitely.
So yeah, is there anything else?
Is there anything?
Like to know?
Anything you want to leave the audience with, or anything else you'd like to jump into?
Oh wow. Well, a word of wisdom: never meet your heroes.
I second this. I second this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, of course, when you see them on stage or something, they're putting on an act. I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I mean, I'm not sure if I was speaking with my real Swedish voice, you probably think I'm drunk, right? So if I speak with my Swedish accent, I sound a little bit drunk. I just can't do it. I can't take Swedish people seriously when we speak with poor English, right? So of course I have to put on a little bit of act, but I would say be honest. Don't hide and you probably will have a better working experience. But I'm sorry for the guy who really pulled a fast one on me, and I'm glad I got away as soon as I did. Um, but oh yeah, that brings me to the last thing, the current scandal on the fighting game community. You you heard about, well, she or he, well, guilty, was kicked off the circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was someone else, a photographer, Miss Michael Ban, or whatever his
Yeah.
name is.
Yeah.
It's terrible that these things have to happen uh, for this community. I mean, I'm not part of the community per se, but I would like to be part of it in a way that I can enjoy and be happy, and to see people be passionate about what they really love and say it is a safe place to be in. I think safety is the most important thing, and without it, yeah, the fighting game community really needs to. I'm not saying, I mean, its own little group, but
Yeah.
they really need to be more thinking about people's safety
Yeah.
when inviting people to events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And of course, salty players will never get respect from me.
Yeah.
I just saw, what is it, yesterday? Yeah, I think this is the last thing I would say. I mean, it was, I really love to see um, um, Smug,
Mhm.
and he was having 4 or 5 sets with Low Tier God. And oh my God, every time Smug was, he had Low Tier God's live stream on, and he could hear him curse at him, insulting Smug so much. And it's like, what's the point, man? What's the point of Salt? It's, and
A part of me, okay, and the reason I say this, because I know LTGs really hate it. I know the other aspect of him separate from the FGC. So it's like when people, they tell me like, oh, he does this, he does that. And I'm like, I'm not going to deny it. I've seen the shit too. It's just like, I'm like, why do you think I stay away from that aspect of it? I'm just like, I know him as DeLauan, not so much as LTG. Because I think if I approached it as LTG, then I'd be like, yeah, I don't think I could deal with the guy. But I get a different aspect of him. So like I understand the dislike and hatred for him. I've even told myself, like, dude, you've gotten, like, I understand it started out as an act, and it's just gotten to a point you're so infamous that you've blacklisted yourself in so many areas. Like even when you try to do something nice, like there are things he's tried to do nice, people are just not gonna see it because you presented yourself in such a way that you cannot.
It doesn't look genuine.
Yeah,
it doesn't look genuine at the end. I mean, that's why I'm such a fan of oh man, Sprawly Legs.
bro. Yeah,
Broly Legs.
yeah.
I love the way his Chun-Li just kicked his ass.
Yeah.
And I was laughing all the way to the bank. And man, Broly Legs have done so much good. He's been written a book and all this stuff. And have you interviewed him on your show yet?
No, I've reached out to him. We were supposed to have done something, and then not too sure. And we kind of, I think I was waiting for a response, and he never got back to me. I'll hit him up again. But
yeah, I think that's gonna be one of the talking points for sure. How was it to put that idiot on his place? You know, like, I would love to hear his mind of thought. I mean, the way he managed to buy some extra airtime by doing a jump and then go into the 1,000 kicks to save some extra airtime. It's just way out of the box. Not even I would think about that strategy. I mean, that was pretty cool to see. So yeah, he's definitely a hero you should meet. He's very inspiring. So I'm glad I'm following him on. I think he even followed me back on Twitter. So I think we're cool.
Yeah, because I know I'd like to have him on. I know there's Sven, who's the blind Street Fighter player.
Oh yeah. From he's from the Netherlands.
Netherlands,
Yes,
yeah.
the blind Street Fighter player. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course now since this year I'm not so occupied with music. If you think I will be good for any other show, please don't hesitate to contact me. I will be able to help out.
All right. I'd love to have you back on again more frequently than what we've been
Yes, I
doing.
hope so too.
No more year break.
Yeah, except for the Bali trip at the end of the year, but that will take it from awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a very nice day for talking with you.
Thank you. And definitely tell people where they can find you, plug any upcoming projects, anything that you think would interest the audience. And yeah, we'll wrap it up from there.
All right. Well, I'll send you the links, and he will put them in. And for the rest of the people, thank you for listening. And I'll hope to see you around. Subscribe to my Twitter and my YouTube channel. And if you're lucky, I might do an artist page on Facebook, so I might have an artist stream, and I will probably do my work ethic videos live there on the stream. So that's the plan at least. But first, I have to try to get an artist page. If not, don't hesitate to contact me on my friend request list. And if you look for my name, Daniel Lindholm, Lindholm, and you see my page has a diversity logo. That's the name of my my own little company. Just press that, and you just send me a small message. Hey, I heard you on the podcast, or I know you from this, and I'll accept you.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid.
Right.
All right.
All right. And with that being said, people, you'll be able to catch this episode of the podcast available on youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova. You'll also be able to find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora Radio, which we just recently got on, and coming soon to, it's already on Podcast One. It's on Launchpad DM, which is Podcast One's new outlet for up and coming podcasters. I've been trending the last 4 months since I've been on the platform,
cool.
so it's crazy.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So
I'll be trending with you.
Man, definitely. So with that being said, people, make sure you go and subscribe to Daniel's YouTube channel. Follow him on all of his social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'll leave all the links to everything down in the description below the podcast and the YouTube video. And with that being said, people, we're signing out. Hey, did you enjoy this episode of the Kasanova podcast? Well, I'm sure you did. And since you did, and you're wondering where else you can find it on every podcasting outlet. Yes, that includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Launchpad DM by Podcast One, and so much more. And the only thing I ask of you is if you truly enjoyed it, even if you didn't enjoy it, please leave a rating and tell us what you thought of it, what you like, what you didn't like, and everything in between. And also, if you're looking for video formats of this podcast and many more, you'll be able to find them on youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova, as well as on twitch.tv/Mekel Kasanova, and new episodes every single Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, with that being said, this is Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber. I am signing out. You guys have a great one.